All right, folks, I think that we have enough folks here to at least get started. I've got Warren County Regional Jail on here, and I know we just have one inmate in Warren County Regional Jail that's on our docket today, and that is Mr. Simmons. So if you all feel like you're ready to get that case going, I'd like to do it just so that I can let the folks at the jail over there.
Judge, I would be ready to do that. I have a Bowling Green police officer, Brown, who I emailed the link today. I don't see him on here, but I do see the probation officer, Dylan Woolley, who's also another witness.
Sorry, Risa.
Okay.
I was going to ask to continue this to the next revocation day because due to some issues with communication, I haven't been able to speak to Mr. Simmons, so I'm not prepared to go forward.
Well, you understand that if we do that, I don't think you all are going to have anybody available in 2 weeks, so it'll be a whole month.
A month. Was there any way we could do it at the end of the week? Like do a quick hearing at the end of the week?
Like this particular week? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. Because I could probably get in to talk to him tomorrow or Thursday. So.
Well, let me look here. I don't. Darn it. I will not be here on Friday, so probably, if everybody else was available, I might be able to do something Thursday morning. I have a suppression hearing at 10 o'clock, so I could probably do it before that.
I mean, I'm available if Risa can get the witnesses.
That's kind of, I guess that's kind of short notice for her witnesses, but.
Yeah, and I have a doctor's appointment at 8:15 that morning.
Oh.
So
and this is Officer Woolley out of Warren County. I have in-office reports all day Thursday.
Yeah, and I mean, tomorrow is whole morning is probably tied up because of I've got a suppression hearing, and then we've got Zoom with another jail on some pretrial, which they may or may not show up for. I don't know. We could maybe try to do it tomorrow morning if everybody was available, but I'd hate to force feed that on anybody because it's short.
Judge, I've got enough information. I could probably do the hearing without speaking to the client. I just don't feel comfortable doing it.
Yeah,
I have done it a couple of times in this era of COVID because of jail issues with other jails and communication and stuff, but it's kind of ones I don't feel comfortable doing it.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I didn't have a problem passing it to the next available day, but because that's when the DPA has its training, none of the DPA lawyers are going to be available on May the 11th. And so,
right.
The next time after that would be May the 25th or whatever that next day is.
Today?
Say what?
Can I go ahead and do it today?
I mean, like I said, I'm fine with doing it today. I mean, I have the information. It's just not, I just haven't spoken to him is the issue.
Well, Mr. Simmons, your attorney is saying that he would rather have a chance to talk to you before we do the hearing. I mean, if you want to do it without that, that's up to you.
Go ahead and do it.
You want to go ahead and do it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
He wants to go ahead and do it.
I can get behind that.
So I guess we've got a probation officer. I mean, after we've gone through all that, I suppose, we need to go ahead and do it. And maybe the other witness will get on here while we're talking.
I just sent him a text message at the phone number he gave me.
All right. Well, let's go ahead then and call the case 19 CR 490. It is Commonwealth versus Joseph Simmons. And I am going to ask Ms. Gardner, ask you to identify your first witness.
Judge, my first witness would be Officer Dylan Woolley.
All right. Officer Woolley, will you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Gardner.
Thank you, Judge. Officer Woolley, you're with District 3 Probation and Parole in Bowling Green, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you currently supervising Joseph Simmons?
I am.
When did you begin supervising Mr. Simmons?
I've had Mr. Simmons since I took over this caseload in August of 2020.
Is Mr. Simmons currently compliant with the conditions of his pretrial diversion?
He is not at all.
Could you please tell the court where he is violating the terms of his diversion?
Just a brief summary. Since he started his diversion in November of 2019, he's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 violation reports completed against him for various drug offenses, absconding, new arrests, another multiple abscondings, but just the most recent violation report that I filed in March on Mr. Simmons, I have him violating his pretrial or his supervision for a new felony arrest on March 15th of 2021, as well as use of methamphetamines, which he admitted to snorting methamphetamine on or about March 8th of 2021. I can go back into the older violations and explain each of them if need be.
No, the current violation is fine. He was arrested on March the 15th, you said, but he made admissions regarding use a week prior.
Yes.
Did he make any statements to you regarding his arrest?
He tried to tell me that, I believe that was the one they found methamphetamine in a jacket he was wearing. He tried to tell me that that wasn't his jacket, that something along the lines, I believe he said he found it outside of a store and put it on because it was cold, or somebody gave it to him. I can't remember the exact words because it was, it's been over a month ago.
Okay. Other than those violations, you don't have anything else to add?
Other than he's been a repeat violator of his supervision. I started supervising.
Okay. I have no further questions.
All right. Mr. Spears.
Okay, Officer Woolley, so the failed drug test, it was an admission, is that correct? It wasn't the drug test itself? Was he tested?
Yes, I have here.
Go ahead, sorry.
He admitted to the methamphetamine use, yes.
Okay. All right, no further questions for this witness, Your Honor.
I know you weren't there when he got arrested this most recent time in Warren County, but do you know what he was arrested and charged with?
Just trespassing.
I'm talking to the witness, Mr. Officer Woolley.
I have here his new charges included possession of a controlled substance, first degree, second offense, as well as criminal trespassing, third degree.
Understood. All right, Ms. Gardner, do you have any redirect?
I do not, Judge. The Officer Brown, he's the phone number, the 954-665.
I got you. Okay. So Officer Woolley is we've taken all of the testimony we need from him.
Yes.
All right, very good. Sir, you can stay, but you don't have to since you're free to go or stay at your discretion. Let's get.
Judge, I'll stay on until he's done, and then I'll go back to my other court.
That's fine. Thank you. All right, Ms. Gardner, identify your next witness, please.
It's Officer Jaden Brown with Bowling Green Police Department.
All right. Sir, will you raise your right hand?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you swear or affirm that your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, thank you. Ms. Gardner, go ahead.
Thank you, Judge. Officer Brown, you're with the Bowling Green Police Department.
Yes, ma'am.
And were you working on March the 15th of this year?
I was.
Did you encounter Joseph Simmons?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you please tell the court where you found him, in what condition you found Mr. Simmons in?
Yes, ma'am. On March 15th of this year, I responded to Minute Mart, which is 810 Morgantown Road. The original call came out as they observed this person identified as Joseph Simmons dancing in the parking lot, and they just wanted us to go check on him. So upon arrival, the officers were speaking with Joseph Simmons inside of Minute Mart, and after running while speaking with him, he said he was waiting for his dad to pick him up to take him to work, and he stated that he was never dancing in the rain. Prior to running Simmons' information through dispatch, it was confirmed that he had been banned from this location and that he had been advised of the ban on 9/09 of 2019. So at this point, he was taken into custody, and upon searching his person, he stated the coat that he was wearing was not his, and then I located methamphetamine inside the coat pocket. But prior to locating this methamphetamine, Officer Lang advised that he had seen Simmons wearing this coat the day before, prior to him getting off shift at 3:30 p.m. After I located the methamphetamine in his pocket, it was logged in the evidence, and Simmons had been taken and transported to and lodged in the Warren County Jail. And he had previously been convicted of possession of controlled substance, first degree, on 11/20 of 2019.
What did you charge him with, Officer Brown?
Simmons was charged with criminal trespassing, third, and possession of controlled substance, first degree, second offense.
I have no further questions.
Cross-examination.
So, Officer Brown, you said that there was a witness that saw Mr. Simmons wearing that jacket the previous day. Is that correct?
Another officer seen him wearing
Another
the jacket. Yes, sir.
Okay. Did Mr. Simmons make any statements to you anytime after the arrest, like after you placed him under arrest or anything besides saying the jacket wasn't his?
The only thing I recall is him saying, as I was searching him, he said that the jacket was not his.
Okay. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Redirect.
I have nothing further.
All right, may we excuse this witness?
Yes.
All right, Officer Brown, thank you very much. You're free to go, sir.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Ms. Gardner, any more proof for the Commonwealth?
There's no further proof.
Mr. Spears.
Judge, I know Mr. Simmons has a right to testify. I don't know if he wants to or not. I would advise him against testifying at this time due to these pending felony charges in Warren County.
Understood.
If he
Mr.
wants to
Simmons, do you?
testify, he can.
Yeah, your attorney is indicating his advice to you would be that you exercise your constitutional right to remain silent. However, it's your decision.
I'll go ahead.
Stop. Do you want to testify or no?
Yeah.
All right, raise your right hand. You swear or affirm that your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Spears, you may ask him.
All right. Mr. Simmons, do you feel like you have a drug problem?
No.
Could you repeat that?
No.
You don't? Okay. Would you, if judge was to not revoke you, would you be willing to go to some sort of treatment for a drug treatment facility?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you complete the program if sent there?
Yeah.
All right. Judge, I have no further questions.
Understood. Ms. Gardner, cross.
I have nothing for him, Judge.
All right. Mr. Spears, any proof additional?
No additional proof, just argument, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead, please.
Your Honor, I know we've been here several times before with Mr. Simmons since I've taken over his case. I think Mr. Simmons will agree. And I think we'll all agree. You know, he has all these cases he's built up over these last few years have been drug related. Granted, there's a trespassing in this new case in Warren County, but I mean, it seems all stemmed back to drugs. He, you know, his own testimony says he's willing to go to treatment and says he would complete treatment. I would ask the court give him a chance at that to see if he can complete treatment and get his life turned around, possibly even with a mental health aspect to it as well. So I'd ask the court in lieu of revocation to sanction him and send him to rehab, either set up by RSW or the SSC, whichever one would be easier.
All right, Ms. Gardner.
Your Honor, as Officer Woolley stated, I think this is probably like the 7th or 8th violation report we've had since he's been on diversion. I know that over the last 6 months, I think that we've had him in court 3 or 4 times. He, I think, has demonstrated that he's not able to be supervised and presents a danger not only to himself, but to others. He continues to use drugs. He admitted to Officer Woolley that he used methamphetamine a week prior to his arrest. He was also found to be in possession of methamphetamine. I know he says that that jacket was not his, but I think that was probably a pretty self-serving statement considering the other officer that was with Officer Brown that day had seen him in it prior to the encounter at the Minute Mart on Morgantown Road. I think he's incapable of being supervised, and I would just ask that his probation or his diversion be voided and he's set for final sentencing.
Well, yeah, this is one of those cases that I think all non-revocation, non-voiding pretrial diversion options have been exhausted. I don't see that anything else can be done. There has been.
There we go.
I'm muting the jail because that's where that noise is coming from. He can always unmute it if we need. But the point being that everything that I believe can be done has been done. You know, we've, I think, given more opportunities than we would in a normal case because I think Mr. Simmons has some challenges that we've attempted to help him work through. You know, there was a issue with housing and, you know, an issue with some other things, but I think at the end of the day, there's only so much that we can ask the probation officers of the Commonwealth to do. And I think that all of them that have been involved in this case have done all they can do. I think that supervision has not been successful. And I don't see any reasonable prospect that it will continue to be successful or that it will be in the future. I also don't believe that, you know, you could say that this isn't a danger to the community because you know, if you continue to pick up felony charges and get new things like that, then, you know, those are inherently dangerous. So long story short, the motion to void pretrial diversion is going to be granted. What that means is that the conviction will be reinstated. And at this point, we have to conduct a final sentencing unless that is waived. And I'm certainly not asking you all to waive it, but I think that unless Mr. Simmons wants to waive it, which he can do statutorily because he's in custody, then we will have to schedule it out and allow a pre-sentence investigation to be done and a report to be filed. So, Mr. Spears, that'll be up to you and Mr. Simmons.
Mr. Simmons, do you want to be sentenced today or wait for a PSI? My recommendation would be wait for a PSI.
I'm on it today, dude.
What?
Today.
Today? All right.
All right, Mr. Spears, do you want to make an argument in with regard to the sentence?
Judge, I would just ask, in lieu of sentencing him to the time to serve, I'd ask that the sentence be probated and that he get an evaluation by the social services clinician for possible long-term treatment with a mental health aspect to it. I believe that, like I said in my argument during the hearing, I think a lot of his issues stem from drug use, and I think treatment might be very beneficial to him in the long run.
Okay, Ms. Gardner?
Your Honor, I would ask that you sentence him to, I believe it was a year as part of the plea agreement. I think that he just, as I stated in my argument, to avoid his diversion, I think he's demonstrated that not only is a danger to himself, but others. He continues to use methamphetamine. And additionally, I think Officer Woolley and others who have supervised him, I know Officer Bragg had supervised him, he continually absconded, failed to report, failed to provide an address, failed to provide a phone number. And that is just essential to be able to supervise someone on probation. So for those reasons, I'd ask that he be sentenced to jail.
Well, I don't think that under the circumstances of this case, there is a reasonable prospect to believe that probation under supervision of probation and parole would have a different outcome than pretrial diversion under supervision of probation and parole had. The sentence that was pretrial diverted was a 2-year sentence. Of course, Mr. Simmons has a considerable amount of pre-sentence credit because he's, the various violations that we've already heard testimony about, and he's done some jail time on those as well. So I will ask that probation and parole is vigilant about calculating those pre-sentence credits, but I don't see any prospect that probation would be successful. I feel like the circumstances and the opportunities that Mr. Simmons has had, it would unduly depreciate the seriousness of the conduct of the last 18 months and the underlying offense to grant probation. So I'm going to impose a sentence per the plea offer of 2 years. Fines and costs will be waived. Credit for time spent prior to sentencing. All right. Mr. Simmons, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I understand that because it was gonna be revoked, but I was just been working with my dad.
I mean, I'm not sure what you're asking me, but
I was asking, could I get back, get a chance to get out and not do the rest of the time?
No. I mean, I've already made that decision. Okay. All right.
How long is it? Do you know that?
I do not know the answer to that because it's an indeterminate sentence. So the actual amount of time that you have to spend will be calculated by the Department of Corrections. All right. Thank you all. All right, next.
Judge, I'd be ready on Vicky Turner. I know Deputy Crane's on here. I think he's on duty.
Okay. Thank you.
I also have Officer Bragg.
All right. Who's representing Miss Turner?
It's mine, Your Honor.
Very good. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Who do you call, Miss Gardner?
I'm going to call Deputy Crane.
All right. Deputy Crane, will you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you swear or affirm that your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Sir.
All right. Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Deputy Crane, you're at the Barron County Sheriff's Office.
Yes, ma'am.
And on April 5th of this year, while you were working, did you encounter Vicky Turner?
I did.
Could you please tell the court about that encounter?
I had been given information of a possible stolen license plate that was recovered in Simpson County. It come back to the owner of 144 Mayfield Mill Road. So I did a quick warrant search because I'd seen that address pop up on eWarrants before, and I saw that Miss Turner actually had a probation violation warrant for her arrest. So as I came up the long driveway to the house, I saw a white female standing closer to the driveway. She saw my vehicle, did an about face, ran back in the house. Her sister come out and said, well, if you're looking for her, she just ran out the back door. So I went around the trailer, found Vicky hiding under a collapsed roof, had her exit out from underneath there, went ahead and placed her in handcuffs. Sister come back around the house and said, can I get her phone out of her pocket? Sure. Phone was in her Vicky's left front pocket. In her right front pocket, I found a clear baggie with crystal-like substance suspected of being methamphetamine.
Did you do anything to field test that substance?
No, we haven't been doing field tests due to the fact of having the, fentanyl in a lot of stuff. We're not doing any kind of field tests anymore.
Okay. But based on your training and experience, did it appear to be methamphetamine to you?
Yes.
And did she make any statements about that substance?
That she just has used it before, and that she had left Simpson County because she felt like it wasn't helping her.
Okay. I have no further questions, Judge.
Cross-examination.
Judge, I have no questions for this witness.
All right. May we excuse Deputy Crane?
Yes, sir.
All right, sir, you're free to go. You don't have to go, but you're free to go.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Ms. Gardner, who do you call?
Officer Brandon Bragg.
All right. Officer Bragg, do you swear or affirm that your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Gardner, please.
Officer Bragg, you're with probation and parole.
That's correct.
And have you been supervising Vicky Turner?
Yes, I have.
How many cases or how many convictions have you been supervising her for?
I have been supervising her since her first one in September. September of 2020 is when I started supervising her.
Okay. And is she currently in good standing with probation and parole?
She is not. She was deemed an absconder in March of 2021. And information regarding that, we had sent her to a treatment facility in Franklin after she had been picked up, and the sanction was that she would go to treatment. She went there on February the 8th, 2021. I talked to the facility and they said she was there. And they called me and said that she had left, and against their advice, they didn't know where she went. She just walked off. And I asked if they had any contact information for her, and they said no. So on the 10th of February, I mailed a letter to her reported address and instructed her to report to probation parole on the 17th. That was during the time of the ice storm, and giving her the benefit of the doubt, I mailed her a second letter on the 17th just to make sure she had enough time to report. And I didn't want her to get it after it told her to report. And it told her to report on February the 25th of 2021. And she failed to report on either date or make any contact with us. And I was unable to reach her. She was deemed an absconder at that time.
Okay. Had she previously, while she's been on your caseload, been deemed an absconder before?
Yes, she has. And this is the second. Yeah, this is the second time.
Since she's been on your caseload?
Yes, I don't believe that I have ever actually seen Miss Turner. She's never reported to me since being granted probation.
Okay. When is, I guess, did you learn of her arrest? Is that when you learned that she was in custody? Is that the most recent time you've heard of her?
Yes.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Cross-examination, if any.
Yes, Officer Bragg. So at no time after she left Hope Haven did she ever attempt to contact you, is that correct?
No, I had no contact with her whatsoever.
When you spoke with Hope Haven, they didn't say, they just said that she walked off, she didn't give a reason or anything?
Right.
Okay. All right, that's all I got.
All right, Ms. Gardner, redirect.
I have nothing further, Judge.
Okay. Thank you, Officer Bragg. Ms. Gardner, that's the proof.
That
Right.
is, Judge.
Mr. Spears,
Your Honor, when I spoke to Ms. Turner earlier, she wanted to testify, but with these new charges, I'm going to advise her not to at this time. She just has the right to testify, so she still wishes to testify. I will ask her questions, but my advice would be not to testify at this time due to these pending charges.
Ms. Turner, are you going to remain silent as recommended by your attorney, or are you going to testify against his recommendation? The decision is yours.
No, I'm not gonna say anything right now.
All right. She is not going to say anything right now. That means, Mr. Spears, if you don't have any other proof you plan to offer, then it is time for your argument.
Argument. Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, with the situation with the new charges, I know I've said this 100 million times in all these cases, but I go back to the innocent until proven guilty on these charges. While they are probably fairly strong charges, you know, the old standby. As for the drug treatment, I would ask the court in lieu of revocation, give her a and allow her to be reevaluated by Bethany or SSC for treatment. When I spoke to Ms. Turner earlier, she talked about that she felt like at the time she went to treatment back at the first of the year, she wasn't ready, and she had some events happen with her mother passing and other things that kind of threw her off, and she feels now that she's ready to approach drug treatment completed. So I'd ask in lieu of revocation that she be sanctioned and be reevaluated by either the SSC or Bethany for drug treatment.
Ms. Gardner?
Your Honor, I'd ask that her probation be revoked. She has 3 convictions out of Barron County. And it seems that, I know that Officer Bragg testified that she had absconded twice. I think the history of her case shows that she had actually absconded 3 times, including this most recent time. The 2 previous occasions led to 2 new Barron County convictions each time. And now we have a new felony charge that Deputy Crane testified to. So each time she's absconded, she's been found, and the reason she's been found is because she's been arrested and found to be in possession of methamphetamine. She was given the opportunity for treatment. She left 5 days after. She made no contact with this officer at all, made no attempts. She doesn't show any desire to do what she is supposed to do. She's been given ample opportunity. And as long as she is out in the community using drugs, as you stated, that is inherently dangerous. And this last time she ran from Deputy Crane, I think she has just demonstrated that she's incapable of following the conditions of probation, and I'd ask that her probation be revoked.
Yeah, I mean, this is a situation where the case 19 CR 084, as you pointed out, she was on probation when she got in trouble and picked up the charges that became 20 CR 261. And I believe that was an absconding, as you pointed out. Then another shot at probation, and was on probation in those 2 cases when she absconded and picked up the charges that ended up being 21 CR 006. And then on probation in all 3 cases when she picked up this new felony that Deputy Crane has testified about. I mean, I believe that's ample evidence that probation is not really a viable consideration at this stage of Miss Turner's cases. And, you know, I don't want that to be the truth, but I don't believe I get to pick what's true and what's not true. I just have to, listen to the evidence, and, sometimes the truth is pretty manifest, and that's where we are in this case. I don't think that there's any option other than for me to find that she has not been supervisable. There's not really a prospect of that changing in the immediate future. And I think that her failure to be supervised is risky and dangerous to her and others, as evidenced by the repeated felonies that she keeps picking up. So all of that is to say that the statutory factors are present and have been met by the testimony. I'm granting the motion of the Commonwealth, and we will enter an order of probation revocation in these 3 cases. Ms. Turner, good luck to you, okay?
All right, thank you.
Judge, can we call Brooke Pierce?
Pierce? Yeah.
Judge, I've got one witness on that, Sergeant Bergen.
All right. Hold on just a second. There you go. Thank you. All right, Sergeant Bergen, there you are. I'm gonna up here. Will you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Richardson.
All right, can you state your name for the record?
Michael Bergen.
And you're with Glasgow Police Department?
Yes, sir.
In honor about April the 8th of 2021, did you sign a warrant on or a criminal complaint on a Brooke Pierce for an alleged assault?
I did.
Can you tell the court the basic facts behind that?
Yes, on April the 6th, I received a phone call from the Dean Crime of the Barrington Sheriff's Office, who made me aware of the assault that occurred. He provided me with a phone number of the victim, which was Holly Houchin, and contacted her in a short time after she came to the police department to speak with me about the alleged assault. She advised.
Yeah, I'm going to have to interrupt you and ask you, Sergeant Burton, I think maybe if you could get closer to your input, your mic, it'd probably help us. You're kind of cutting in and out, and it's really hard to hear you.
Hey, Judge, I don't want to call anybody out, but there are persons that are not muted that may be causing some of the interference. Okay.
That may also be the problem if you can.
That might have helped.
All right. That a lot of times the problems have more than one cause. All right. I think Sergeant Bergen, where you were was how you became aware that I don't guess Mr. Berry was able to hear that because I wasn't able to get it all. How did you become aware that there was any issue with Miss Pierce?
I spoke with Miss Houchin. She came to the police department on April the 6th to speak with me about that. It was previously reported to me through Deputy Dean Crumball. I spoke with her on the phone. She came to the office shortly after that. Can you all hear me just fine?
It's a little better, but it's not ideal. I think we'll just have to forge ahead and see if it works.
Yes, sir. So while at the police department, she advised me that on April the 3rd, between 7:30 and 8 o'clock that morning, she was at her house on Newman Street, sitting on her front porch, and received a phone call. On the other end of that line, it was believed to be Brooke Pierce, a friend or a girlfriend of a other prior relationship that she had with Patrick Stevens. And she said, "Do you want me to kick your ass inside or outside?" She stated the female told her that she was in her driveway, and she walked around the side of her house, and that's when she noticed Pierce inside the vehicle, sitting in the driveway. As she approached Pierce, she got out of the car and she had a baseball bat in her hand. Once she got near her, Pierce attempted to hit her with that baseball bat. Houchin stated she blocked the first swing, and then the two got into a physical altercation, which resulted both of them going to the ground. They separated. Pierce again attempted to swing hit her with the bat, however, she missed, and they got into another physical altercation. And again, when she stood up, she looked at Stevens to ask him what was going on, and that's when Pierce swung the bat and made contact with the left side of her head. She stated that there was 2 friends inside the house of hers that came out to assist her. She was bleeding heavily from the head, and she was taken to TJ Health Pavilion for treatment. She stated that she heard Pierce had a history of violence and made threats that she was going to kill her and her daughter while she was on scene. So she told TJ staff that she had fallen and hit her head, herself and her daughter safe. As a result of her injury, she had 7 staples in her head and was referred to an optometrist due to vision being cloudy in her left eye after the assault. She also stated her balance was off and may have suffered a concussion. However, she was never checked. I did with 2 of the witnesses that were there. Both of those, I spoke with them on the phone. One witness said that she did hear the phone conversation because it was on speakerphone. She did hear Pierce say that she was asked where she wanted to beat her ass at. She told another witness who was inside to go outside and help her while she cared for Pierce's daughter. The other witness went outside. He went outside. He observed Pierce, who hit Miss Houchins with a baseball bat. Once she was struck, she was seen leaving the scene. And on April the 8th, I obtained a complaint warrant and served on April the 11th by Metcalfe County Deputy Morrison. Once I became aware she was lodged in the Marion County Jail, I traveled there to speak with Miss Pierce about the incident. She was read Miranda warning to speak with me. At first, she denied ever being there. She stated she was at home with Stevens during the time of this incident. Eventually, she said she wanted to try something new and be honest, and she admitted to being there and getting into a physical altercation with Houchins. She stated that she came outside and Houchins swung at her, and then she mentioned or stated that she blacked out but did not hit her with a baseball bat and whooped her goddamn ass. She said as a result of the injury, Houchins fell down and hit a fender flare that protruded off of her car, and that is where she attained. After I spoke with Pierce, it was recorded on body cam, and I believe that's just about it.
Sergeant, you said that there was an Ashley Shoemaker and Cody Davis that were there at the house when the incident took place?
Yes, that's the 2 witnesses.
Okay. And was there, and did you say that their statements to you were they didn't actually see the swing, but they saw Miss Pierce with the bat in her hand?
Davis did see the swing.
Okay.
Shoemaker did not. She was inside watching the child.
Okay. And you were kind of cutting out, but I want to make sure we cover this. You had also stated that she had several staples that had to be put into her head to close her wounds.
Correct. 7.
And did you also say that she, I guess, had to be referred out because she had a cloudiness in her left eye or a cloudiness of vision?
Correct.
Is that what you had said? Okay. We passed the witness, Judge.
Mr. Berry?
Yes, Judge, I don't have any questions for the officer.
All right. Mr. Richardson, can we excuse Sergeant Bergen?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Richardson, are you going to put on additional proof?
No, Judge, I had Mr. Alexander on, but I was looking at his report. I don't think he has anything else to add other than the incident.
All right.
Additionally to that, Judge, I wanted to, we were going to have Deputy Morrison on, but he had charged you with resisting arrest in Metcalfe, but she has pled guilty to that. So we're going to ask the court to take judicial notice of that.
Oh, okay.
I filed that in the record.
I think you might have Deputy Morrison on here.
Okay.
Yes,
So
sir, I'm on here.
if you don't need him, we can let him go. If you do need him, he's on here.
I don't.
Judge, I have a subpoena for another case.
Yeah, he might
Oh,
be-
okay. So he's got a different case. All right.
you should.
I spoke too soon. But you're not going to call him for this case, right?
No, sir, no.
All right, fair enough. Okay, Mr. Berry?
Judge, this is certainly a case I would strongly advise the client to not testify at this matter due to the charges that she's facing. Like I always say, she's got that right if she wants to testify, but I would certainly encourage her to not do that.
Ms. Pierce, do you understand that, what your attorney is saying?
Yes, sir, I do, but I would like to speak.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Wait, well, you don't get to just speak. I have to swear you in, and then you have to
Yes,
testify
sir.
under oath, okay?
yes,
Raise
sir.
your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir, I do.
All right, Mr. Berry, you may ask her.
Hey, Brooke, you've been on probation out of Barron County since August of last year. Is that
Yes, sir.
correct? And it doesn't appear you've had any other violations of your probation.
No, sir, none at all.
Okay. You realize what you're charged with in this new case?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay. Are you, I guess, disagreeing with what the officer testified to? or-
I'm disagreeing with a couple different things that he stated in there, Mr. Berry. I'll bring to the table one point. In the preliminary event on 4/19 of 21, he stated in this specific setting, in this Zoom meeting, that he did not have any witness statements due to the fact that when he contacted them over the phone, both Shoemaker and Davis made statements, but the statements were supposed to be recorded by Glasgow Police Department, but were lost.
Okay,
That's just one of the points.
okay. That's all the questions I would have, Your Honor.
Mr. Richardson?
I don't have any questions, Judge.
Okay. Mr. Berry, do you want to make an argument?
Yes, Judge, insofar as revoking probation, at this point, we've got Ms. Pierce, who's not had apparently any other violations while she's been on her probation. I realize it was just since last August, but still she hasn't had any evidently failures to report or dirty drug screens or any number of things that we see typically as far as violations of somebody's probation. So she seems to be doing well on it. We've got this case here, and I realize, as we all do, you don't have to have a conviction in order to revoke somebody. However, I always think it's only fair that they have a chance to defend themselves on the new case before it's used to revoke probation on an older case. So I would ask the court to not revoke her based on this one allegation that's been made against her in this matter. I know it's a serious allegation. I'm not disputing that, but there's still often defenses once we get into a case and start saying what happened. Like I say, what oftentimes sounds terrible when you just hear one side, all of a sudden doesn't sound so terrible when you hear both sides of the case. So I would ask the court or the judge to not revoke her at this time, especially based on this one violation.
Okay, Mr. Richardson?
Judge, I recognize it's one violation, but we're not talking about possession charge or a petty misdemeanor. I mean, she beat the heck out of somebody with a baseball bat. The case she's on probation for now, after I consulted with the victim in that case, whom Ms. Pierce stabbed with a knife, we gave her a chance and gave her probation. But now apparently she's going out beating up people with baseball bats, and we know she did it. It's not a case of
Allegedly, sir. There's
Let
no
me finish
fact.
speaking, Ms. Pierce.
Yes, sir.
Hold on, Ms. Pierce.
It's not a case of who done it or if she did it. I mean, she admitted that she was there. She admitted she got in a fight with Ms. Houchins, and I don't think she can argue self-defense because Ms. Houchins was defenseless. Ms. Pierce was armed with a baseball bat. We've got 2 witnesses to what occurred. My concern here is that Ms. Pierce, 2 times in a row, has committed serious assaults, and I believe that she's a danger to the public, and especially a danger to the victim in the current case, because as you heard from the testimony, she threatened to kill Ms. Houchins and her daughter. So I think based on the evidence that you've heard, Judge, I think even though this is a first time offense on probation, it's serious enough to where I think the court, it would be warranted to revoke her probation for the protection of the public.
If I could speak, Mr. Alexander.
You already spoke, Ms. Pierce. I mean, this isn't like a dialogue of everybody just going back and forth saying what's on their mind.
Correct, sir. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was just trying to bring a point to the table before we have the chance at taking away 10 years of my life that, is based upon an allegation to where there's been zero physical proof that there was any weapon involved. The weapon that was stated to be involved was never found, sir. It states in there, if you actually read the report, that this woman invited me to her house. Okay, if you read the report, sir, this was clearly set up. Okay, I was asked to go over there with my fiance, okay, and help this girl paint her house. Okay, we showed up, called her and told her that we were there, sir, and she come out and hit me.
Stop.
Yes, sir.
This is a situation where you were on probation for a assault first that was amended to an assault second degree.
Yes, sir.
And then, 6, 8, 7 months later, whatever it is, you get charged with another assault first. I mean, I don't know. And Mr. Berry is exactly right on everything he said. You haven't been convicted of it,
Yes, sir.
but you also don't have to be convicted of it for it to be considered a violation of your probation.
Correct, sir.
But there isn't any way to know by listening to one guy's testimony who wasn't there, everything that happened. There's no way to know. I've struggled with the idea that, you're on probation for stabbing somebody and then 7, 8 months later, you get charged with hitting somebody in the head with a baseball bat. And I mean, what if I don't revoke your probation and you get out and then there's another charge of a first degree assault on somebody? I mean, someone could end up, and I don't know if you did it or not. I'm going to admit that right up front, right? I don't know if you did it or not, or I don't know if you did it and you had some kind of justification for doing it. The testimony was not that, they called and invited you over and waylaid for you. I mean, the testimony was that you called her or texted her and asked her whether she wanted to get her ass whipped inside or outside.
Is there any
Right.
way that you would read the document? Because I have the paper document.
I don't have the document. That's not part of the record in this case.
Yes,
That's
sir.
part of the discovery in your new case. That's not part of the arrest record or the motion to revoke probation, right? So, I do feel like it's, maybe going further than I want to go to revoke a 10-year sentence on the basis of a arrest alone, right? But it's also not going near far enough for me to just say, hey, listen, everything's, well, not guilty yet, so I'm letting you back out. Because these are two serious cases where two people could have been killed.
Yes, sir.
Whether you are guilty of anything, I mean, I know you're guilty of the first one because you pled guilty, right?
Yes, sir.
So, and you were on probation when that happened.
No, sir. I was not on any kind of probation when that happened at
Oh,
all.
you had served out a sentence, hadn't you?
I served out a possession of methamphetamine charge. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you were on parole, or well, you had served out a sentence.
Served it all the way out. Yes, sir.
So, you know, I'm not sure what the answer is, but I know that part of the answer is not, I'm just going to turn right around and let you back out right now and have this happen again, or have the chance of this happening again.
Is there any way that you would consider an ankle monitor in that so you
Well,
have additional monitoring?
I'm considering everything, but
Yes, sir.
right now, this is what I'm going to do. Right now, I am going to, for lack of a better way to put it, as a legal term, I'm going to recess or pause your hearing and bring it up, and we're going to bring it up the next time because I want to see if, when the grand jury, which will meet between now and then, I want to see whether there ends up being an indictment or not.
Yes,
And I don't know that that'll affect what I'm doing, but I mean, if there is an indictment, then, you know, there'll be an issue of your bond in that case, and that'll be here in front of me too, so I can deal with everything at one time. But so I don't know what the answer is. I'm not trying to lie to you, but I know that, you know, these two incidents happening like this don't look good. And, you know, I have to be on my toes with that because, you know, part of the reason that you can get your probation revoked is if you're a danger to the community, and getting another, you know, Class B felony charge while you're out on probation is decent evidence that you're a danger to the community, right? And
Yes.
again, like I said, none of us knows, except for you, what happened on that day.
Correct.
None of us that are sitting here on this meeting, right?
Yes, sir.
So, you know, I'm trying to be as fair about that as I can be, but I'm not going to let you out until we come back on May the 25th. And I'm not making any promises about what I'm going to do when we get here on that day.
There's no way that you can consider an ankle monitor and
I have considered it, and I'm not going to do it. I may do it then, but I'm not going to do it now.
okay, I was just asking due to my job and stuff like that because I was working a steady program, had a sponsor and everything that I hadn't had any dirty drug tests, sir. Was doing really, really well. And I just closed on a house 3 weeks ago in order to, you know, start getting my children back, sir. I'm fighting tooth and nail. And because of one allegation, I'm begging you just to allow me to have a chance to be under more strict supervision and curfew or whatever you need. I just don't want to lose everything that I've just spent the last 8 months working for. And in 27 years, not had anything to call a home or to call a place for my children. And now, you know, my work's working with me long enough to be able to give me an opportunity for my fiance to sign me out on an ankle monitor or anything like
I know,
that.
Ms. Pierce, but believe me, if I wasn't looking at both sides of this, I would have already made my mind up.
Yes, sir.
Okay. But right now I'm going to do what I said I was going to do. And we're going to wait and see how this grand jury process works out and go from there.
Yes, sir.
All right. All right.
So you said May 25th?
That is correct.
Thank you
At
so much,
1:30.
sir. Thank you.
Judge, we can call Catherine Eotitis next. I've got Officer Clinton on the call here. And I spoke with Greg about this. She has pending charges up in Hardin County. It's the basis of this motion. It's what Officer Clinton was going to testify to. There is, it's possession of controlled substance and also possession of a handgun by a convicted felon. And I was going to reach out to Hardin County to see, you know, if they had any idea about this case and what possible resolution they might have, because that would affect what I would be willing to offer in this case. I think Greg is okay with that, so we'll just continue this case till the next hearing, and Catherine will remain in custody until then.
Is that? Yeah, Mr. Berry, go ahead.
Yes, I'm fine with that, Judge. I just wanted to ask Catherine if she heard that and
Yes, sir, I did.
understands. Okay. Okay.
Mr. Gardner, I've got grand jury on her next Thursday here in Hardin County.
Okay. So you have any idea which prosecutor in the Shane's office will be handling the case, or?
I do not yet, sir. I can send him a message, and I've got your email. I can email that information to you if you need me to.
If you don't mind that, so I can reach out to them and find out.
Yeah, I will. I'll shoot him a message and then forward that on down to you, sir.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
All right, so you want to put this on for the next revocation date?
Yes, Judge.
And then, I assume that there is at least some possibility that you find out what you need to find out and you can communicate with Greg about that before that date, right?
Correct.
All right. So that's what we'll do. That's May 25. Let me ask you all if we're ready to do, I think, it's not identified, but I think that maybe Grayson County Detention Center on there, and I think we have Miss Tash up there. Am I right about that?
I believe so, Judge.
Yeah, I'm getting a nod from her. I think they're muted, so right now they can't speak to me, but if somebody can unmute that device, I think we can take that case up. Ms. Tesh, is there anyone in there with you? So yeah, you're on mute, so I can't hear you. That's.
And Judge, I have, this case is so old and it's gone through a couple different officers. I don't know if Officer Bragg can help me. Well, I see Officer Bennett on here. I think Officer Bennett is currently the one who has this case on his caseload.
That's
right.
correct, Teresa.
Okay.
Who's handling this for the DPA?
Miss Myers.
Okay. Well, I mean, until somebody gets in there to unmute her, then we probably can't go. Tell you what, let's call somebody that's in Barron County, and then we'll work on that.
Judge, I have James Fancher and Trooper Cross is
Okay.
testify in that case.
Dakota Fancher.
Yes, sir.
Right. All right, let's see. I saw Trooper Cross on here earlier. Let me find him again. There he is.
Yeah, give me just a minute, Judge. My phone's going dead and I had to grab a charger.
I understand.
Trooper Cross, we need to call another case, come back to you.
I'm just about in the house now.
Okay.
Let me get plugged in here.
Yeah, maybe not quite that often.
Okay, I think I'm ready now.
All right. Trooper, when you get situated, raise your right hand for me, please.
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you swear or affirm your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Gardner.
Trooper Cross, will you state your name for the record?
Trooper Ricky Cross.
And you work for the Kentucky State Police?
I do. I'm stationed out of Post 15, Columbia, Kentucky.
And were you stationed at that post on March the 27th, 2021?
That is correct.
About 6:54 p.m. That date, did you come into contact with a James Dakota Fancher?
Yes, sir.
And could you tell the court, or actually, did you make an arrest based upon your contact with Mr. Fancher?
Yes, sir.
And why did you arrest him?
I had come on shift at 1600 hours. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
I had come on shift at 1600 hours. I had received a phone call from a Jeremy Clifton who lives at 189 Fancher Road. He had told me that while he and his wife were gone to town, they have a 16-year-old son. He said that when they got home, the 16-year-old son had told him that he had tried to sell him drugs. He requested to come down there and for me to speak to him.
Let me stop you there, Trooper Cross. When you say he tried to sell him drugs, who are you referring to?
I'm sorry, James Dakota Fancher. He goes by Dakota is what he goes by. So I apologize if I say Dakota because that's what he actually goes by. I am very familiar with Dakota. He's actually my second cousin. Anyways, I respond to 189 Fancher Road, and as I'm speaking to Jeremy, he said, I just missed Dakota driving in, squilling tires, leaving smoke. And I did notice there was tire marks on the chip seal. This is a dead end chip seal road, Fancher Road is. As we're talking, his wife is also out there talking with me. Their son is in their yard, 16-year-old son is in their yard, just next to the road. He tells me, Jeremy says that he hears a vehicle coming our direction. And when I saw the vehicle, it was a black Honda CRV. He was traveling at a high rate of speed. At this time, I did not know who was driving it. When he approached me, he saw me and he lost control of it. Started sliding sideways from right to left. I thought he was going to hit me head on, so I grabbed the steering wheel and I braced. He then went up into the yard, and Jeremy, his wife, and their 16-year-old son ran for their lives because they thought they were going to be run over. I literally thought that Dakota was going to run over them. He came back out of the yard, hit their mailbox, knocking the mailbox door off of it, almost striking me again. I thought he was going to hit me again. He passed just a few inches away from my driver's side. I immediately hit my lights and my sirens. And when I looked in my mirror, I saw him excel at a high rate of speed. I turned around on him, notified dispatch that I was in pursuit of the subject. I do know that Dakota does not have a driver's license, and this was verified through NCIC, through dispatch. We turned right on the Noblick Blue Springs Road. We went, I'm not sure how long that road is going to 314, Highway 314. But when he approached Highway 314, he slammed his brakes on, locking the rear tires up. Smoke filled the air. You could also see the black marks. Then he just blew through the stop sign, didn't stop there. Went straight across 314 on the Buck Williams Road. Went a short distance on Buck Williams Road, and in a sharp curve that you come to up there, there's a gravel road that veers off to the right. He took that road, went a short distance, went up into a field, hayfield, and I'm traveling the road around. And when I catch up around to him, he's getting ready to come out onto the road. He then makes a U-turn and goes back toward Buck Williams Road. I then follow him through the field. We come out on Buck Williams Road, and he's still traveling at a high rate of speed. When we were on Noblick Blue Springs Road, I was unable to activate my radar to get the speed on him, but I did look down, and at one point we were hitting 97 miles an hour. On Buck Williams Road, when he's approaching Highway 314, he does the same thing, but this time he veers off the road to the right, losing control of his vehicle, coming back on, and at one point it was hopping. I literally thought it was going to flip. He approaches 314, locks it up again, smoke fills the air, then he just blows through it and nearly T-boning a crew cab red Chevy S10 that was traveling east on 314. He goes back onto Noblick Blue Springs Road. As we're approaching Blue Springs Pennington Road, we meet a vehicle that actually gets off the road. When he gets up next to him, he locks the wheels up again, leaving black marks and smoke. And at one point, he was twirling his hand in the air. And the best way I could describe it was like he's trying to lasso maybe a steer, some type of, the way you would lasso an animal. That's the motion that his hand was going in. As we pass Blue Springs Pennington Road, we're coming up on Fancher Road. We meet two more vehicles. They get off the road and drive into a field. Once again, when he approaches them, gets up next to them, he locks it up again, causing smoke and, of course, tire marks on the road. We turn left on the Fancher Road. We go just a short distance up there, and it's the only curve on that road. It's a really sharp curve, makes right at a 90-degree turn. He loses control, goes out into the field, and gets stuck. I exit my vehicle, my state police issued vehicle. I'm yelling at him to turn the vehicle off and get out. He refuses to do so. I pull my asphalt. I strike the window, the driver's side window with my ass, breaking it. He puts it in reverse and he just floors it backwards, throwing mud. And as he's going backward, he actually cuts the vehicle where the front end is going to come toward me. He strikes me with the driver's side, strikes my body with the driver's side, causing me to spin around, injuring my knee. I had instant pain to my left knee. He strikes the right side of my body though. And when I come to a stop, I'm actually standing on the opposite side of the road. He makes a U-turn going backwards, backs into the same field, gets stuck again in some mud. I approach him, yelling at him to turn the vehicle off and get out. He refuses to do so. At this point, he puts it in full drive and goes forward, trying to go forward. He's spinning, and I give him 2 ass strikes to his left forearm, and then I draw my taser, and he refuses to get out. I deploy the first set of probes, but they don't make contact at all. I don't even know where they went. It's like they did come out, but it's like they just fell out. He then, kind of like best way I could describe it, kind of like the Dukes of Hazzard, he jumps out through the window and trying to run and get away. I deploy my second cartridge, which it does achieve neuromuscular incapacitation. At this point, I put him in handcuffs. He's yelling at the top of his lungs, they're going to kill my Uncle Jamie. Once I get him over to the vehicle, I request EMS because of the ass strikes to his forearm. He did refuse to be transported to the ER by EMS. Trooper Alan Shirley and Trooper Mattingly, they're the ones that transported him for me to TJ Sampson for a blood draw and to be medically cleared. But once he was at the TJ Sampson, he was ready to imply consent. He refused the blood draw. I did speak with the residents at 189, Jeremy, his wife, and his juvenile son. All 3 told me the same story, that they were scared for their life. They had to run. If not, they would have been run over. At one point, the juvenile even told me that he started crying because he thought that his mom and dad were going to be killed, going to be run over by Dakota.
Trooper Cross, did you ultimately charge him with, various offenses?
Yes, sir.
And what were they?
Let me get over here to these. Later, I found out that the vehicle was stolen. And I had Trooper Bobby Maxwell to interview Enoch Parnell. That's the vehicle that he was the registered owner to the vehicle. And I am familiar with this vehicle because he's a mail carrier. And that is his mail route. Let's see. I've got assault 3rd degree police officer, wanton endangerment 1st degree, 3 counts, fleeing and evading police 1st degree motor vehicle. I'm sorry, I'm on my computer here. Let me get to the next one.
Did you also charge him with operating on a suspended or revoked operator's license, reckless driving, disregarding a stop sign, and operating a motor vehicle under the influence of alcohol or drugs?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and resisting arrest?
Resisting arrest. Did you state in there theft of auto, or actually it's receiving?
I did not on this citation. Did you waive your charge?
I put it in my case. I did have Trooper Bobby Maxwell to interview Enoch, and to come to find out it was stolen.
And were you injured in this incident?
I was injured. I was treated at TJ Sampson Hospital.
Were you off work for a period of time?
I was off work for 2 weeks. The first week was pretty excruciating pain.
No further questions.
Okay, cross-examination.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Wait a minute. Mr. Spears.
Trooper Cross, did you or Trooper Shirley or Trooper Mattingly do any field sobriety tests on Mr. Fancher at the time?
I was unable to do any field sobriety. I don't know if they did or not. That's something that they would have to be questioned about.
Okay. But he was taken to the hospital and refused a blood draw, correct?
Yes, he did reek of alcohol also.
No, sir. I give blood at the hospital.
Wait, hold on. Dakota, if you're going to testify, you got to do it in order.
Yes,
I
sir.
did have his record subpoena, his medical record subpoena, but he refused a blood draw for the state police.
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Gardner.
No redirect. That's the Commonwealth's proof.
Very good. Mr. Spears.
Judge, I would advise Mr. Fancher not to testify due to the nature of the pending charges, but I can only advise him of that. I cannot stop him. So if he wishes to testify.
Dakota, your attorney's telling you he doesn't think you ought to testify, but that is your decision to make. What will it be?
Swear me in, Your Honor.
All right. Do you swear or affirm that your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Yes, sir.
All right. John, Mr. Spears, you may ask him.
All right. Dakota, tell the court what happened on the evening of March 27th.
Well, I was coming out the end of the road, and I'm aware that I have no driver's license. I am definitely aware of that. But either way, I was coming out the end of the road, and as I'm passing by his mom and dad's, it's Ricky's parents' house, I see him sitting on the left side of the road with his blue lights on. Well, I didn't think nothing about it. So I pass him. As I pass him, he spins around in his car, and he's just riding behind me. So, but either way, Jeremy and them, I've never even spoke to them people. I don't know them. All right, it's physically impossible for anybody to go up in their yard. It's like a 4-foot embankment, and there's a tree line all the way up it. All right, he was not standing outside talking to nobody. He was inside his cruiser. All right, they're all standing probably 10 foot up the yard, in the yard. I was running maybe 15 miles an hour. Okay. When he's saying that I lost control on Fancher Road, I know I'm going to hop and skip and jump all the way around, but I'll cover all of it. All right. When he's saying that I lost control at the end on Fancher Road, as soon as I pulled off the end of the road, I shut the car off. All right. The driver's side door is welded. He's hollering for me to get out. And I'm sitting here trying to tell him, look, I got to get out of the passenger side of this car, man. There's no way I can get out of the driver's side of it. And then he beats the window, and then he keeps beating. He swung his ass probably 4 or 5 times, striking me with it. And then he grabs me around the neck, jerks me out of it, throws me down in probably 1.5 foot of water, and shoots me in my ass with the taser. And the whole time he's got his foot on my back, holding me underwater. You can ask both of my uncles, they was there and witnessed it. All right, Trooper Mattingly at the hospital, he was there whenever I give him consent for the blood work and everything like that. And I mean, every bit of this, man, this is all far-fetched and a set-up ordeal. Like I said, whoever lives in that house over there, I don't even know them. As far as me speaking to them, their son, any of them, we've never come in contact with each other. All right. And when he's saying that I slid off in the field and that I
made contact with him and this and that. All right, the field's right here. I slid straight off in the field. I pulled off in the field and shut the car down because I didn't want my uncles to get up there and then him try to, you know, shoot one of them, or it'd just be all bad because I know how he is. Right. So when I pull up and I shut the car off, he's just beating and hollering, get out, get out. And I'm like, Ricky, I can't. But either way, there was no striking him with the vehicle. There was none of that. There was no running over people out in the yard and feared for their lives and this and that. If there is, I want the video footage from his cruiser. He should have every bit of this on tape. And I want the footage of me striking him with the vehicle and knocking him to this side of the road and that side of the road when the only person that was assaulted was me. You know, I mean, he held me under 1.5 feet of water. My buddy over here in the drunk tank, I thought it was Friday for 3 days in a row after I got here. And, you know, I'm just, if I could, out of all this, if I could just, you know, maybe request rehab, if this is the situation, and I don't see why he keeps talking about, I'm James Dakota Fancher and I'm a methamphetamine user and this and that. I have no drug charges in this case. But I would just see if I could respectfully request that I get some treatment. Can I go to rehab? Throughout all this, I've never had the opportunity for any kind of rehabilitation. And I would just like to request, Your Honor, that all the video surveillance be brought out in this. You know?
I understand. Mr. Spears?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Mr. Gardner?
Dakota, had you consumed alcohol on March 27, 2021?
No, sir.
So there was no reason you'd be reeking of alcohol?
No, sir.
You admit that you were traveling on various roads in Metcalfe County, reached speeds up to 97 miles per hour?
No, sir, I never did.
Never did that?
No, there was, the CRV wouldn't even, it shuts off at 80. The thing won't even do 100.
And did you run stop signs and lock up the brakes on the vehicle?
No, sir.
That's all a lie too?
No, I mean, it's all alleged.
Okay. And did you almost T-bone a red truck at the Buck Williams Road intersection?
No, sir.
Didn't do that? I don't have any further questions.
Mr. Spears?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Gardner, anything by way of rebuttal or anything before we?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Spears, do you have an argument to make, sir?
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, I'd ask in lieu of revocation that Mr. Fancher be given a sanction and an opportunity to attend some sort of rehab. At the end of his testimony, his desire to possibly attend rehab. In this situation, I think with the conflicting testimony, I think it might be too soon to base a revocation solely on this arrest. This case has still got to work its way up through the system. I figure there's already been a prelim on it, but it's still pending grand jury, and I'm not sure when the Metcalfe County grand jury meets again, so I don't know if it's been indicted yet or not. But I would just ask in lieu of revocation that he be given a sanction evaluated either by the SSC or Bethany court feels would be best for treatment.
Okay, Mr. Gardner.
Your Honor, Mr. Fancher is currently on probation for 2 felonies. He was on probation in 18 CR 239 and picked up a new felony and was granted probation in that 18 CR 664. He has been given various different chances while he's been on probation. The court is well aware of that, and it's documented in our motion to revoke probation. On this case, I believe that there's clear and convincing testimony that he committed the offenses that he's alleged to have committed, that Trooper Cross has testified to. Believe that the Commonwealth is satisfied its burden to show that he's violated the condition of his probation by getting new felony charges, and that he presents a danger to others in the community, especially by this wanton conduct, and also the intentional conduct that Trooper Cross testified to about hitting him with a vehicle. Based upon all of the testimony, the court or the Commonwealth believes it's satisfied its burden and asks that you revoke his probation.
Well, these two cases have had a long history of issues with various violations that have occurred while Mr. Fancher has been on probation, and I do think that there have been ample opportunities to walk this off. As far as I know, there's been 5 or 6, maybe not that many, 4 or 5 different sanctions, and where we've had hearings and entered into agreements to sanction in lieu of revocation and all of that. And listen, this isn't one of those cases where some lay people went out and swore out a complaint or whatever. I mean, I just heard the testimony from the trooper, and he's testifying under oath. And while there could be, a lot of times the argument is, well, they hadn't been convicted, and I agree that that is a relevant factor in these situations. At the same time, the testimony cannot, and I find that it was not just completely created from whole cloth. I mean, there had to been, it was credible testimony, even if, every single thing didn't end up being proved beyond a reasonable doubt at a trial. The upshot of it was that, there was a fleeing situation where people were put at risk, and including but not limited to law enforcement. And, Dakota, I understand what you're saying, and I understand that you hadn't been to rehab, as far as I know, at least in while you've been on probation in this case. But I think we've by what I've heard here today, we've moved beyond that. I don't know that that's something that would be justified under the circumstances, especially because your testimony was that you weren't using anything or on the influence of anything when all this went on. So, I mean, it can't be used as an explanation for what happened. If I believe you,
Your Honor, if I may say something, all right, he's saying I about hit him and them. He's on the left side of the road, they're on the right. How, if they're both feared for their life, how am I running them both over at the same time, Your Honor?
Well, I got the impression that this went on for more than just a minute or two.
Well, if like he said, if I'm coming out of the road and I about run them over, if I turn around and come back through, why are they still standing in the middle of the road?
I don't know. I don't know these people any more than you do.
If I run off in the field, sir, and get stuck, how am I going backwards and forwards, driving circles and running him all the way to the opposite side of the road and back to that side of the road?
Well, I'm not sure that that's an accurate description of what the testimony was. But in any event, based upon the various things that have occurred and the various opportunities that you've had while you've been on probation, I think it's time to make the determination that supervision has not been effective and it's not likely to be effective. And I'm going to grant this motion to revoke.
I just don't understand. All right, Your Honor, I just feel like I need to help to get drug treatment. I haven't never had that opportunity. I've never had that option. And
I understand your argument, Dakota, but I don't think that's appropriate as a way to resolve this particular motion. Okay.
Your Honor, after all this happened, I've had a reconstructive eye surgery in which I've had 4 screws come out of it. Is there any way you could get me to KCPC so I could have a medical evaluation of this? Because here, if I have an x-ray done, Your Honor, here at this jail, they don't count screws. They just look for separation. Well, I've had 4 screws come out of my sinus cavity right here, and I'm literally taking my fingers and pushing it back up in there on the inside of my mouth, and they can't treat me here.
if they've got any kind of issues medically, they know how to take care of that. They haven't contacted me about that.
They won't neither. I'm just stuck like this. That's the reason I was asking if you could like send me to KCPC so I can have an actual doctor.
First of all, I can't send you to KCPC to look at your sinus cavity because that's not what they do. And second of all, I can't send you to any doctor to look at that right now. Okay.
All right.
All right. I think we might be able to take care of Ms. Tash in a minute, but I'm going to be honest with you all. I'm going to take 5 minutes before I do anything else. Trooper Cross, if that's the only case you have, you're good to go.
Thank you, sir.
I'll be back.
Can I help you? Yes, ma'am. The judge is taking a recess. May I please use the restroom real quick? I'll let him know. Thank you. You got me, Nan. I'm not done yet, Judge. Hi, Nan. Yes.
All right, I would like to, if possible, go ahead and take up this case that has Miss Tesh in it so that I can let Grace and Kenny go. They've been with us for an hour and a half.
I'm ready, Judge.
All right. Who are you planning to call?
Officer Bennett.
All right, Officer Bennett, will you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do, Your Honor.
Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Hey, please state your name for the record.
Officer Seth Bennett, probation and parole here in Barron County.
And Officer Bennett, is Lisa Tesh currently on your caseload?
She is.
Have you ever met Miss Tesh?
No, ma'am.
And why is that?
She was actually placed on the administrative caseload back in July until she was moved to absconding caseload. I actually just received the case once she was picked up on the warrant.
Could you explain what that administrative caseload is and what cases get put on that?
Right. It's a lower level of supervision caseload specifically for people who were maybe just being supervised for restitution or something like that. It's more minor than full on month-to-month contact.
Okay. Were you aware of a violation of supervision report filed by Officer Adwell back in December of 2018?
I am.
And she was listed as an absconder at that point in time. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes, ma'am.
Anytime since that violation report was filed and then the motion that the Commonwealth filed to revoke her probation, was she placed back on that administrative caseload?
Give me just a moment. Let me take a look. It appears that she was transferred to Donna back in October of 2018. She absconded December the 12th, 2018. She was transferred back to Donna in March 11th of 2020 and absconded again July the 14th of 2020 and was just recently picked up March the 30th and was placed on my caseload.
Okay. When she was assigned back to Donna, do you know, was she regularly reporting to Donna?
It looks like she was reporting for short periods of time and then she would abscond just by looking at the transfer log here.
Are you aware, Officer Bennett, of any new felony convictions, new charges?
It does look like she had a new felony arrest. Just a moment here. In July 8th, 2019, she was arrested on new felony charges. Unlawful possession of a firearm, possession of cocaine or narcotic drug, resisting law enforcement vehicle, and criminal recklessness.
Where was that?
Charlestown, Indiana.
Okay. So you have never, she's been placed on your caseload, and during that time, has she been continually listed as an absconder?
Yes, ma'am.
Has she ever paid any restitution?
To my knowledge, no, but I will look at her account and see if she's paid any. I would assume if she has, it probably hasn't been much because she's been an absconder for basically on and off the last couple of years.
Okay.
And I don't see any restitution payments listed in here.
All right, I don't have any further questions for Officer Bennett.
Okay, cross-examination.
Officer Bennett, did you check with the Barron court to see if any payments have been made recently on her case?
No, ma'am. She was just placed on my caseload at the 1st of April, so I have not verified if she had made any restitution payments to the clerk's office prior to that.
If she had made a $500 payment towards her restitution, would you consider that progress towards completing her probation?
I would consider it progress, but I don't believe that it appreciates that she's been absconded for last.
She's been, this is a 2014 case, right?
That's correct, yes, ma'am.
And the main reason why this case has continued on so long, or her probation being extended, is because of the restitution that she owes in the case, correct?
That seems to be correct, yes, ma'am.
So technically, if her restitution was paid off in full, she'd be released from probation, right?
If the court granted that, yes, ma'am.
Let's talk about this administrative caseload. How often on an administrative caseload do clients have to check in with their probation parole officer?
It looks like she was still reporting via phone once COVID started, at least from May 2020 until she absconded. It looks like she was reporting almost weekly.
In fact, once COVID began, probation parole office was not having in-person visits, right?
That's correct, yes, ma'am.
And during that period of time where you were not having in-person visits, the office was actually locked, right?
Yes, ma'am. That's correct.
And the only way for Ms. Tesh to connect with her probation parole officer would be to call, right, during that period of time.
That would be correct, yes, ma'am.
Is the absconding based upon her not calling?
Let's see. It looks like see exactly what Officer Adwell had filed in her report. As I said, this was not my case. I've just picked it up, so I'm having to read somebody else's words. Let me see. It doesn't look like the last absconding we had on Ms. Tech was in that 2018 violation report.
So all the way back in 2018, that was the last absconding notification?
That I see, yes, ma'am, other than the new felony arrest.
Well, there's already been a revocation hearing based upon the 2018 absconding,
No,
correct?
there hasn't. I was just going to say there has not. This mission's been pending since 2018.
So during 2000, you said that during May of 2020, she was actually contacting her probation officer, correct?
That's correct. It shows Officer Adwell in here was reporting weekly that she was making contact via phone. And it looks like they made her report weekly due to that arrest in Grayson County.
And no one actually went to her home of residence, did they?
I would say not.
Okay. You'll agree with me that if a person has financial struggles, they can't always keep their phone on, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And in fact, I realize Ms. Tesh wasn't on your caseload, but you'll agree with me that you've had clients that have been unable to keep their phone on or have ran out of minutes due to their financial reasons, right?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct. I usually tell mine to borrow a neighbor's phone.
Okay.
Make the report.
With reference to the charges out of Indiana, do you know whether or not she was actually incarcerated in Indiana for a period of time following that case?
I can't testify to that. I don't have any recollection of the case at that time.
And do you know what she actually pled guilty to in that case?
I do not. No, ma'am.
And you've never actually met with Ms. Tesh and discussed anything, have you?
No,
About
ma'am.
that case? Okay. And you've never met with her or contacted her at the Grayson County Jail to discuss why she's considered as absconding, even though she was calling the officer for a period of time in May of 2020, have you?
No, ma'am. As I said, she was just placed on my caseload at the beginning of April and has been incarcerated since.
Do you have any reason to believe that she is violent in the community?
I don't have any reason to believe that at this time.
And hypothetically, if
Objection, Judge. We're not getting into hypotheticals here.
Well, I think hypothetical questions are the province of expert witnesses, so I don't know that he's going to be, I don't know.
Based on,
maybe you just used hypothetically as a colloquialism, but.
I did. It's fine. I'll rephrase it.
Okay.
Based on your background and experience, training as a probation and parole officer, if this court were to give Ms. Tesh a sanction and release her to the community, would she remain on a supervised probation status?
She would definitely be supervised more frequently and at a higher level of supervision based on the report Officer Abwell submitted to the court back in July of last year.
And then once her restitution is paid in full, when would her probation end?
It would be effective almost immediately, as soon as documentation is provided that is paid in full.
That's all the questions I have of this officer, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Gardner.
Officer Bennett, do you have a current total of what that restitution amount is?
I do not.
And with regard to knowing whether or not Ms. Tesh would be violent in the community, is it because you don't know Ms. Tesh?
That's correct. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And with regard to COVID and reporting and using the phone, is it probation and parole's responsibility to provide a phone to people on probation?
Absolutely not.
Okay. No further questions.
Recross.
I have no recross.
All right. Anything else, Ms. Gardner?
The only other thing, I don't have any testimony. I would just ask that, Judge, you take judicial notice. I filed a supplement yesterday with 2 documents that we received from Charles County. I believe it's Charles County, Indiana, or Charlestown, Indiana, showing that she did plead guilty to a felony, received a sentence there. That was back in the beginning of 2020, and most recently in March, she was sentenced in February of 2020 to a felony. I believe in Indiana, it's our equivalent of fleeing and evading first degree. I also, in an earlier supplement, had attached a citation detailing the events where she was also found to be in possession of 2 firearms in the vehicle with her husband, who is a co-defendant in this very case. Additionally, she has a new conviction, a misdemeanor conviction for marijuana possession and possession of drug paraphernalia out of Indiana from last month.
Okay. Ms. Myers, you have any proof?
Your Honor, the first thing I would ask is if the court's file, and obviously I'm not there to look at it in person, but does the court's file show proof of a $500 restitution payment issued on her behalf?
It does not. This is the, I don't know if you can see that number. That's the restitution which is the same amount that was ordered back in 2015 or so, plus the 5%. I mean, it doesn't show that there have been any payments made since she got put on probation. That's what I was trying to. Now, let me preface by saying I asked my bench clerk to check and see if there was a $500 payment that might have not made it into the file yet, and her system crashed when she tried to check, so she hasn't been able to check. So I'm not saying that there hadn't been one. I'm saying that if there has been one, it's been recent enough that it isn't in the receipt hadn't matriculated into the file.
Judge, I don't have my glasses on, so I could not see that amount that you put up there.
$2,388.75.
Okay.
And in the judgment, I guess let me tell you what the figure was in the judgment, because it was less than that, but that doesn't account for the clerk handling fee. The judgment was $2,275. If there was a payment made by, it was joint and several, so if there was a payment made by a co-defendant, which is Mr. Tesh, that would not, the receipt would not be in this file. But there aren't any receipts in this file. But let me tell you, and I don't, Ms. Myers, you may want to put on some proof, and I'm going to obviously permit you to, but this is what I can't get my head around, and I'm not directing this to Officer Bennett because I know he just got it, but your predecessor in interest here asked for a warrant in December of 2018, and that's what she just got arrested on. And if she was reporting during the COVID crisis, somebody should have let me know and to ask me to recall the warrant, because there's been a warrant pending for 2.5 years. Okay, there was a $500 payment made today over the phone. I don't know who made it, but somebody made it because they just looked it up. But anyway, I guess what I'm trying to figure, there's a lot going on here, man. I mean, there are a lot of moving parts. I don't know how we're getting to, getting to Indiana to get all these new offenses when we're not supposed to. As far as I know, we weren't supposed to be in Indiana, but maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't know what the heck's happening. I mean, this is, I'm being confounded by some of the seemingly incongruous facts that I'm being presented with.
I understand, Judge. If I may try and clarify a bit, I'm looking through some of the older notes. It looks like the Barron County active bench warrant issued on December 10th, 2018 was actually served in March 11th of 2020. Looks like they notified your office that she was lodged in Grayson County. As of March 23rd, 2020, she was released. And that's when she was told to report every Monday until the virus COVID-19 situation was under control. She reported up until.
Can I tell you, I don't think that can be right, because the warrant that she got arrested on March 29th, 2021, it's an e-warrant. I mean, those things, if that had ever been served on her, it wouldn't have been in e-warrants active. This says electronically signed by Judge Alexander, 12/11/2018, executed 3/29/2021 by Dennis Petit, Grayson County Sheriff's Office.
Okay, I'm seeing another note here, July the 14th, 2020. Donna stated that Ms. Tech had failed to contact the officer by phone as instructed. The Barron County probation violation warrant still was active, and she was placed on the absconder caseload at that time. As far as what happened between that period of time, I have no idea. And she was scheduled for a revocation hearing, looks like with Judge Goff in Grayson County Circuit Court in August of 2020.
Are we sure that we're not mixing her with her husband? Because I did see him back around the time that you're talking about. And he was a co-defendant and he did get arrested, and we did see him.
Right. And like I said, Your Honor, I'm just reading off the notes here. I'm without having more information, I can't testify as to exactly what happened there. She was placed on my caseload early in April. I can provide your office with more information as soon as I can get access to that.
Yeah, well, listen, this is where I am on this thing, right? I mean, obviously, I think there is some basis to find that she hadn't done everything she's supposed to do. But the thing is so confusing, and you know, I have to have some kind of clear picture in my mind that she's, you know, supposed to have clear instructions about different things. And I mean, I don't know that I can get there, you know, because I can't even figure out who's been telling her what and all that. Clearly, she hadn't paid her restitution precisely like she was supposed to, and that's enough to revoke somebody's probation. But I mean, you know, what I'm trying to do is figure out a path forward on this thing and see if I can figure out where she's going to be, where she's living, who she's going to report to. Let's get some restitution. You know, this thing is way beyond, you know, Miss Myers said, well, she hadn't paid her restitution, and if she did it, she would have been off. And that part of that's true, but that's when I got to thinking, you know, I've had a warrant out on her for 2 years, and I went to looking through the file, and sure enough, so I mean, you know, there's been a warrant too, and some of that, it was her fault. It seems like maybe some of that might not have been because you know, she was calling somebody in your office and still had a warrant pending.
But Judge, I guess I don't know if we want to continue it, but it's not, I guess our position is it's not as simple as just, you know, absconding and failing to pay restitution. I mean, this case is almost 6 years old, failing to pay restitution in that amount of time, especially when it's that, you know, over $2,000. But I mean, she's a convicted felon out of Indiana now. She was in Indiana, not supposed to be there. And then she has a new offense list. So there's more things than just failing to pay.
Oh, you are not wrong. You are not wrong. You are not wrong about that. I mean, there's a lot going on here, but I guess where I'm going with it is if she's got apparently, and this is extrajudicial information. So I just found this out because they came in here and told me, but apparently her husband had called and said he was going to bring his stimulus money and pay the debt off and all that stuff. And I mean, I would rather have some victim out here getting their money. I don't know that it's going to happen, but I'd rather have some victim out here getting their money than have me revoking her probation and putting her in prison. And I don't know if we want to give a little bit of time to see if that's going to happen. You know, I don't want to make it look like somebody's just buying their way out of trouble. But I mean, the key thing here is that you've got some, and this isn't one of these, I ain't picking on the state, but I mean, this isn't one of these where somebody just got an extra 20 or 30 bucks a week in benefits from the unemployment or whatever. I mean, this is a deal where a private, you know, entity or whatever, you have a victim out there. And, you know, I mean, most people could use $2,400 if it gets taken from them. So, I mean, you know, I would like to see if I could get those people their money and then, you know, go from there.
Well, I mean, wouldn't her probation have been told somewhat by this warrant?
You're not wrong. She's on probation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not making that argument. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm not saying that legally she couldn't be revoked, because she could be. I'm saying that judicially, I'm not sure that's the route I want to go. If there's some prospect that she's going to be able, and it seems like Miss Myers had some information on that because she knew about the money before the rest of us did. So, I mean, if there's some prospect of that happening, I mean, let me just try to see if there can be, if I can give her a little time on that to see if that can happen. And, you know, I'd rather give some, like I said, some victim the $2,400 they got coming to them than revoke her and they never get it.
I understand that.
And if she benefits from that, then she benefits from that. But I mean, you know, ultimately the victim is getting taken care of too.
Yeah, I think that a lot of this time has elapsed just because of her actions, and obviously due to her conviction. I do think,
100% right. I
She
mean,
presented
going to
me-
Indiana and getting in trouble up there in Indiana, and of course you can't report to your probation officer in Kentucky when you're in jail in Indiana. And I mean, I'm not trying to exonerate any of the wrongdoing here. I'm saying that it seems like over the last year or so, she had been calling in, and if I had known that, she wouldn't have had the warrant pending on her. We would have been getting after the restitution and all of that. It wasn't Seth's fault because he wasn't even the one doing it. But I just mean there's enough confusion there that I would be willing to look at it like, let's see if we can get forward on this thing and get it knocked out. That's what I'm trying to say. That being said, I don't know what the exact answer is. So if you want to put, that's where I want to go with it. And if Ms. Myers knows that there's some kind of reasonable proposal with actual facts in it of her getting this paid, I would like her to tell me what that is, and then maybe I can countenance it.
Well, Your Honor, she has not received her stimulus money yet, to her knowledge. And Lisa, you can correct me if I'm wrong on that. But I do think that she has some family who is willing to assist her. I will note, and I realize that there were this case out of Indiana, but Indiana saw fit to probate her, or she wouldn't have been out. She'd still be in jail in Indiana. So I don't think that, I think that she is on the path now. Sometimes clients need to have an eye opener, and she's been arrested she's been in custody since March 8th, I believe. She realizes how serious it is and how much time she has on the shelf. She has a brother who's had some injuries that she's been taking care of, and I think that has been part of the problem, but she does understand how important it is for her to get this restitution paid off.
Yeah.
I've kind of made more of an argument instead of putting Ms. Tesh on and going through a whole litany of testimony, and I apologize for that, but I mean, it just seems like she's got family that's realizing, look, she can't be here to take care of us if she's in custody. So, and I think
I do not want to say that I am not going to revoke her probation. What I want to say is that I would be willing to give her a short, and by short, I mean in the context of the 6 years or so that it's taken us to get to this point. I would be willing to give her a, period of 60 days or something like that to see if this could get taken care of, put it back on the docket. If it can't, we'll pick back up where we left off, and the Commonwealth can still ask me to revoke her, and you can still put on your case, and I'll decide it. But I mean, if I can get the restitution paid off, then, I might be willing to say, okay, that's perfect can't be the enemy of good. And so, if we can get that paid off, then I might just have to settle for good. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I'm going to deny the motion or exonerate her for any of the wrongdoing that may have occurred over the period of time that we're talking about. I'm just saying, it seems like there has been some movement on this money. So why don't we see if we can get that taken care of? And, I can live with that if we can.
That's fine, Judge. I just, for clarification purposes, looking at Indiana, she did receive a sentence. I think she was in custody there before for a considerable amount of time, and then she had an alternative sentence with a balance probated. So she was not outright probated.
I understand. And I'm not real sure how our warrant escaped their attention either, but it did.
We were made aware of it because I remember talking to Donna about it, and Donna knew that she was in jail in Indiana. I do know that.
Yeah. No, I just mean, I don't know how we had a warrant and they didn't serve it on her up there. But, just add that to the list of mysteries that I can't figure out. We'll talk about Area 51 some other time. All right. So why don't I do this? Why don't I look at, I discovered earlier today when we were on the Metcalfe County docket that I think I'm not going to be here on the on the fourth Tuesday of the month of June, because that is our judicial college. And since none of us have had one, it'll be 2 years. Everybody's got to get their hours. So probably all the circuit courts all over the state will be doing that. So why don't I go over to that July 13th date and put it back on for a revocation hearing on that day. And if we have gotten this restitution paid, then I think I would be willing to terminate her probation because it's beyond time. It's only a question of the restitution. But I'm not going to deny the motion. I want to hold on to it because if it hadn't gotten paid, then I think these issues that the Commonwealth is bringing up need a ruling. Okay.
Can we go to July 27th, Your Honor? And I apologize for that, but the 11th through the 22nd, I'm supposed to be in.
I told you when you first brought that up that you're going to have to keep reminding me because I can't keep up with. Summers are always like that. There's always, everybody's got their things. Yeah, I can do that. Well, I guess I better say Ms. Gardner might not be here that day, but
I'm here.
July 27th. All right.
I'll be
That's
here.
extra time. That's more time than I wanted to give you. So Ms. Tash, so, if it's going to get done, it better get done by then. Okay.
Yes, sir, Your Honor. Thank you.
So I'm going to pass the hearing to 7/27 at 1:30 to check on the status of restitution. We'll probably need to just do a written order on this to memorialize some of this because that way it'll be in the record. All right, so Ms. Tesh, I guess do you have any other, are you being held for something else at all? Some kind of probation deal over there?
For Grayson County, they put my court date out. They held it over pending this matter until next week.
I got you. So I think it's only appropriate that, I'm not planning on holding her in jail for these 90 days. I'm going to take a risk on you that you're going to do this, but you're going to be required to report as directed to your probation officer between now and then. So Officer Bennett needs to tell you when you get out, where you're going from here. Okay.
Yes, sir, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right.
Ms. Tech, if you would, once you're released, you will need to contact the Glasgow Probation and Parole Office and ask to speak to myself, Officer Bennett, and they should be able to give you my phone number there. If you don't have, I can give it to you now, but is there a deputy or somebody there that could write it down for you?
No, I'm in a room by myself, sir.
Okay. Just,
if you can give it to my attorney, then I can get it from her.
okay. That would work as well. Or better yet, just report to the Glasgow office upon your release.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
All right.
You can probably just message that or chat that to Ms. Myers and she'll get it. All right. Ms. Tesh, you're getting a second bite at the apple here. So, try to get that taken care of.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. See you next time.
Okay.
That was really confusing, Seth.
I apologize, Judge. I'll try to get some clarification to your office.
I well, never mind. All right. Who you want to do next?
Call Amber Carver next.
Amber Carver. Yes, sir.
Call Officer Dewberry.
Bonnie, do you have Amber Carver?
No.
Bonnie, do you have Amber Carver?
No, Judge, we don't.
You don't have her in the entire jail, or you just don't have her in that little room?
Tower jail.
You released her.
Give me just a second, I'll see where she went.
That's a fine, how do you do?
She was released on April 12th, Judge.
Oh, yeah, I think I see what happened.
Thought she was in custody. I apologize.
No, Mr. Gardner, I think what ended up happening was when she got the new charge out of, that is still in district court, but it's a felony, I guess either by accident or inadvertence or whatever, either I didn't, when they called me and said, do I want to, either nobody called me and asked me, did I want to do a hold on her, or I said yes and it didn't get done, or I said no. It's one of those three things. But we weren't holding her apparently for this case. It was just a district court case, and then Judge Pendleton ended up letting her out. And then your supplement reflects that she, I think, didn't comply with what his terms were when he let her out, and I think there's probably another warrant out for her out of district court.
Judge, had her scheduled for today, but not held for this case. She got out.
Yeah. When I saw her, she was in jail, and I guess I thought I had a hold on her. And that's why we scheduled it for today, but I didn't have one. And like I said, it was either probably my fault, but it was either my fault or somebody else's. But in any event, it happened. So I guess, Mr. Gardner, I probably ought to put the warrant out. I put a warrant out because she knew about this court date, and then she also has got a warrant anyway out of district court, which is, she would be required to comply with the law anyway.
Officer Dewberry, I'm sorry I made you sit there. I apologize about that. I thought she was in custody, and my docket reflected that she wasn't either, so it's my fault too.
Yeah, I mean, I thought she was in custody as well. That was just, we all just made the same mistake. So Officer Dewberry is free to go if this is all he's here for. I apologize.
No issue. Y'all have a wonderful day.
Thank you. All right.
Jonathan Meadows.
Sorry. All right, Mr. Gardner, we have Mr. Meadows here.
Call Deputy Morrison.
All right, Deputy Morrison, could you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Sir, I do.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Gardner.
Deputy Morrison, will you state your full name for the record?
My name is Deputy Trevor Morrison.
Are you a deputy with the Metcalfe County Sheriff's Office?
Yes, sir.
Were you employed in that capacity on March 27, 2021?
Yes, sir.
Did you arrest a Jonathan Meadows on that date?
Yes, sir, I did.
And did you arrest him for burglary second degree and giving officer false identifying information?
Yes, sir, I did.
And why did you arrest him?
Okay. I was dispatched to 6135 Greensburg Road here in Metcalfe County to a burglary complaint. I was advised that the caller was on scene at a residence that he owned with a male and a female inside the residence, packing items outside. I showed up to the residence. It's a single wide mobile home near the intersection of Toby Hill Road. Upon my arrival, I observed two vehicles parked at the rear of the residence, a maroon Jeep, later identified as one of the suspect vehicles. There is a co-defendant in this case, just to make the court aware of that. I met with the property owner who was driving one of the other vehicles, a white Ford pickup. His name is Tony Grissom. Mr. Grissom stated he had received a text message from a friend that people were at his residence located at 6135 Greensburg Road. Mr. Grissom stated he doesn't live at this property, he just owns it, but he lives within a half-mile east on Greensburg Road. He stated he responded to the residence to see what was going on. Grissom stated when he arrived, he observed the maroon Jeep parked at the rear of the residence, almost in an attempt to conceal it from the roadway. Grissom stated he grabbed his baseball bat from his truck and started towards the residence. Grissom stated when he went to the front door, a male and a female were inside fixing to walk outside. Grissom stated the male was packing items from inside the residence. Grissom stated he told both individuals to put the stuff down and to get out of the residence. Grissom stated he followed the male around to where the Jeep was parked, but the female went around the opposite side of the residence. Grissom stated the female came around and got into the Jeep. And Grissom stated he forced both individuals not to leave until police could arrive. So when I arrived, I detained the male who identified himself as Matt Meadows and gave a birth date of 11/16/98, which our dispatch advised they could not find anything with that date of birth. So get to my next page. I apologize. I'm looking at my computer while also doing this. So I placed Mr. Meadows under arrest. Deputy Steele actually placed the co-defendant under arrest to transport for me to the sheriff's office. And since we're talking in this case in reference to Mr. Meadows, once we got him to the sheriff's office, I read him his Miranda rights, and he denied to speak to me about this case.
And did Mr. Grissom know Mr. Meadows?
He did not, that I am aware of. No, sir.
Give him any authorization to be in the residence?
No, sir. He had not given him any permission.
And was this a rental?
I take it that it was because he had said he had had someone living there last. I believe he said.
It was my uncle, and I was staying with him for 2 weeks prior to.
Mr. Meadows, be quiet, please.
Yes,
Until
sir.
it's your turn to go.
Yes, sir.
Please repeat yourself, Deputy Morrison.
Sir?
I said, would you please repeat what you said?
Oh, yes, sir. Mr. Grissom, I believe it told me that last October, we'll just say last fall, but I'm pretty sure he said the month of October was the last time that anyone had lived at this residence, that no one had been there since.
So at the time, on March 27th, no one was living at the residence, according to Mr. Grissom?
That is correct.
Okay. And he had not given anybody permission to be in the residence?
That is correct.
Now, where was Mr. Meadows when you arrived?
Mr. Meadows was standing out next to Mr. Grissom towards the rear of the residence.
Okay. And Mr. Grissom stated that when he made entry into the residence, I guess Mr. Meadows had items in his hands.
He had a like a garbage bag with some random items from inside the residence. It was inside the bag.
Did he say what they were?
I think we talked about them just a little bit, but I think it was mostly a bunch of random stuff, maybe like a picture of something. I don't remember other than that.
Okay. No further questions.
All right, cross-examination.
Yes, Deputy, did you seize these items that you said that Mr. Meadows allegedly had in the?
No, sir, did not.
Okay. Did anybody?
Mr. Grissom took back possession of those, that, as far as I'm aware of.
Okay, you never saw them?
They were sitting just inside the door. Mr. Grissom when he opened the front door, Mr. Meadows, he told me, this is coming from Mr. Grissom, told me that he still had the bag in his hands and he made him put the bag down, which when I arrived was still sitting inside the residence, just inside the front door.
Okay, but you never saw what was in it?
I never opened the bag, no, sir.
Okay. Who was? Okay, never mind, I'll withdraw it. That's all the questions I have for the deputy judge.
All right, Mr. Gardner, any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, any additional proof in this case?
Yes, call Seth Bennett.
All right. Deputy Morrison, if this is the last case you're here for, you don't have to, you're free to go. You don't have to go.
Yes, sir.
But you're
Right.
free to, okay?
Okay, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Morrison. Have a good time on your trip.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Gardner.
Officer Bennett, you have previously been sworn. You remain under oath. Mr. Gardner, you may ask him.
Will you state your name for the record?
Officer Seth Bennett, probation and parole here in Barron County.
And do you supervise a Jonathan Bennett or Jonathan Meadows? I'm sorry.
I do. Yes, sir.
And how long have you been supervising him?
Since September the 21st, 2020.
Okay. Did you file a violation of supervision report on October the 29th, 2020?
I did.
And did you list absconding as one of the violations at that time?
I did. And before I submitted it to the court, he actually called me on November the 4th, which was shortly after that, said he had been having trouble keeping a home placement. And at that time on November the 5th, I had him report in for a drug test. He field tested clean at that time. So I was in contact with the judge's office and we decided to hold off on the warrant at that time.
And so why did you originally file it back in October?
So he failed to report. I received the case September the 21st, and he reported September the 25th. He was given a next report day. And then before, I didn't have any contact with him through September, the end of September or any in October. And then he was booked on new misdemeanor charges October the 22nd. And he was actually released the same day before I could ever get a hold on him since he failed to report in October. Upon his release, I mailed a letter for him to report. I assume it's probably his grandmother who received the letter I sent. And that's why we rescinded the warrant there when he reported in November, but he did fail to report in October.
And did you also list 2 new arrests on that violation report?
Yes.
And was one of them a public intoxication charge? 20.
That's correct.
883. So that's correct.
Check the case number. That's correct. Yes, sir.
Okay. And did you also list a new felony arrest as well?
That's correct. 20F 445.
And what were the circumstances behind that arrest?
He was charged with possession of controlled substance, first degree, first offense, methamphetamine, and drug paraphernalia by and possession.
Okay. And did you have the officer citation?
I do.
Okay. And what does it state?
It looks like officers responded to the residence for a domestic dispute at 110 North Franklin. As soon as the officers made contact and Mr. Meadows saw him, that he tried to avoid them That's about all I can say as far as the citation goes, because it's in quotations for another officer.
Did they find loaded syringes next to where the
Yes, that's correct.
defendant was sitting?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and he was arrested for that?
Yes.
Now, you filed another violation of supervision report on March the 30th, 2021. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And we've heard testimony regarding the burglary incident. Were there any other violations listed in that report?
He failed to report to probation and parole as directed. He failed to report in February and the 1st of March until he was later booked for the new felony charges that the previous officer described.
When's the last time he has reported to you?
He reported to me the first week of January. He reported as directed. He didn't report. He missed his report for February the 4th. I tried to make contact a couple of different times that month. He also received a traffic violation during the month of February. I was unable to get in touch with him. I was in the process of getting an absconding warrant on him at the time he was booked for the new charges.
No further questions.
All right. Cross?
Yes, Officer Bennett, have you ever you've drug tested him one time at least while he's been under your supervision?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, and he was negative for any kind of.
Sir.
Have you drug tested him any other times?
That's correct. I have not.
Okay. Do you know the status of that case in Metcalfe County for the burglary?
I do not, Greg, off the top of my head.
Okay. As far as you know, it's still in district court.
The last I checked, it was in district court. Yes, sir.
Okay. How long did you say he absconded? How long did you say he was absconded for? 2 months, January and February?
I actually didn't charge him with absconding for February and March. I charged him with failure to report as directed. Since he was picked up on that new felony, I could not charge him with absconding since his whereabouts were known at that time.
Okay. That's all. I'd pass the witness, Judge.
Mr. Gardner?
Mr. Bennett, Officer Bennett, is Mr. Meadows required to pay restitution as part of the term of his probation?
That's correct.
And has he paid any restitution since 2018?
He has not provided me with any documentation showing that he has paid restitution since I have supervised him since February. I mean, since September of 2020.
Is there any documentation in that file showing that he's paid any restitution?
Judge, I'm going to object on this one. I don't believe there's any, that this is set out in the officer's report that was attached to the motion.
Judge, in the motion to avoid diversion, paragraph 2, it's failure to pay restitution as ordered by the court. So it states that the defendant has failed to pay any restitution since 2018.
I paid in 20 though, in September of 20.
Wait, hold on.
Yes, sir.
I just need to,
Okay, now you're talking about the motion revoke his diversion, but we're on a motion to revoke probation now, is that correct?
No, I think well.
Yeah, it is confusing because the motion says that it's a motion to revoke probation, but I believe he's still on pretrial diversion.
That's correct.
I put the motion to avoid diversion. There's a supplement is for motion to revoke probation. So I think the supplement's title.
Oh, okay. The supplement. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
If I may, Your Honor, I can tell the court when the last time DLC has received a payment for restitution.
Yeah.
It was February 2020 was the last time we received any verification of payment.
How much was it?
There is a receipt in here from 2000, from February or March. I can't remember if I just saw it, but that's the only receipt.
It was $45, John.
Yeah. Yeah, and the original motion that Mr. Gardner's referring to goes way back to November, and then of course he was out of custody, so we didn't have it. But in that motion, it refers to failure to pay restitution.
Do you know, Officer Bennett, do you know how much restitution he did pay? Was it just that one payment or were there others?
He made 3 payments, Greg, since 2018. It looks like, according to our balance, he still owes about $919.
Okay.
I do have a stimulus and a tax check out there that I could finish.
He owes $862.21. If anybody's still keeping up.
Okay.
Which was the balance after his most recent payment was March 6th, 2020. So 13 months ago, he paid $110 and he leaving a balance of $862.21.
Okay. Okay, then I'd pass the witness, Judge.
All right, Mr. Gardner.
No further questions.
All right, thank you. Let's see, Mr. Berry, or well, I guess Mr. Gardner, is that the proof?
It is, Your Honor. Yes.
All right, Mr. Berry, any proof?
Judge, no, I don't have any witnesses to put on at this time. I'd like to make a statement, though.
Go ahead, please.
Okay. I would ask the court to consider not revoking Mr. Meadows at this point in time. It seems like the major problem that he has here is this pending felony charge for burglary second. And again, I know the court probably gets tired of hearing me say it, but again, he's not been proven guilty of anything on that yet. I don't know if he's been indicted yet or not, or if it's still awaiting presentation to the grand jury. So we may be a long way from finding out what kind of truth is behind the allegations, or possibly any defenses Mr. Meadows may have to it, and whether or not he would ever be convicted of it. So I would ask the court to not revoke at this point. He had one drug test in this scenario and he was negative on it. He's been paying along some restitution. I know he hadn't paid the whole amount off, but he's been making at least some effort to pay restitution. And I've seen cases where people go for years and not pay a penny of restitution, but so he has been making an attempt to do this. This misdemeanor charge, I don't know if there was a resolution on that yet or not. So again, I would point out he may not have been convicted of anything on that yet. I don't know whether he has or not, but I would just ask the court to at least pass this for a while, because it may turn out that he's not had not committed any felony here. So I would ask the court to give him the benefit of the doubt on that and not revoke.
All right, Mr. Gardner.
Your Honor, Mr. Meadows was granted the privilege of pretrial diversion back in 2018, and for a period of time, it seemed like it was going okay. We had some, minor hiccups in 19, but then it seems like in the fall of last year, sort of the wheels have fallen off. We've got, a public intoxication arrest, the new possession charge. He was, the violation report at least was absconding. That got sort of corrected out a little bit. And then Officer Bennett testifies that, he goes a couple more months there in January, he doesn't report. And then finally picks up this new burglary charge over in Metcalf. It hasn't been indicted, but the allegations are, a guy gets a call saying somebody's in one of his rental properties that doesn't have, the right to be there, and he's got to go confront them with a baseball bat. And so that's obviously a dangerous situation. So the Commonwealth believes it's satisfied and proving its burden that is pretrial diversion should be voided. We're not asking at this point, I don't think, to, sentence him and to term in prison. But at this time, I think that he's worn out the privilege for pretrial diversion. I ask that you void that.
Yeah, Judge, I said motion to revoke probation. I meant pretrial diversion.
Yeah, I understand. Sure. So here's the deal. He's on pretrial diversion. It's actually should be up in probably 2 months, which kind of makes it, I mean, as I was thinking about what kind of options we had here, it makes it kind of tough to do a wait and see approach because, I mean, unless I extend, now he hadn't paid his restitution. So granted, he wouldn't be off of it in 2 months if he doesn't pay his restitution. And I think clearly there has been a violation of the terms of pretrial diversion by not paying. I think he's actually picked up 2 new felonies because I think he picked up a felony in Barron County, possession of a controlled substance felony in Barron County, and just had never been indicted on it because he wasn't in custody. And I think that happened back in, it's in one of Seth's reports, it's 20F something or other that happened back in the fall of the year. I don't remember exactly what. And I mean, that may have been resolved as a misdemeanor somehow. I don't know. But I believe that because he was out of custody, it's possible that he's never even come in and gotten arraigned on it yet. He hadn't been arraigned. He's set to be arraigned on May the 6th. But what is it? Possession, first degree, and paraphernalia. So, I mean, we've got a lot of moving parts here. And I appreciate that the Commonwealth isn't asking for me to both void his diversion and sentence him to serve his sentence out, because I think that would be a bridge too far. But I think that, the only way that I would be willing to not void this pretrial diversion would be to probably, in lieu of voiding it, to extend it a little bit until we can see what's going to happen with these other cases. And if we need to look at it like, however we want to look at that, but I don't want this to be something that I say, well, let's wait. And then he just goes off diversion, because I don't think that's appropriate. I think that there needs to be a resolution of those underlying issues first. And so another thing is, and I know I'm doing a lot of talking and I apologize, but the other thing is, the only way I'd want to do something like that, Mr. Meadows, is to be confident that you do a whole lot better than you've been doing the last 6 months of reporting to your probation officer and not getting in any more trouble.
Yes, sir. Can I speak? May I speak?
I don't know that it's going to help you.
When I reported to Miss Donna, I never missed report day or anything like that. Right about the time whenever they swapped my probation and it went to the phone, that's when my probation started like slowly getting messed up. And then the living situation that I had, the home placement, my father had actually let me start staying with him, but then I started staying with my mother after I'd left my father's because I got a job.
Listen, that stuff is up to you to get figured out. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And I'm not, I've already told you, I'm not planning on, revoking you on the basis of that. But I want you to do better than you have been doing. And if you don't get it straightened out, we'll be back in here. But I mean, Seth tried to help you because he didn't ask for a warrant the last time that he could have. And the Commonwealth's not out to get you. I mean, they are asking me to void your diversion, but they aren't asking me to bury you under the jail or anything. You've just got to start. I mean, you're a young guy, but you can't get away with that forever. I mean, you're 25, 26 years old.
25. Yes, sir.
All right. So, I mean, you've got to start stepping up to the plate and taking care of your responsibilities here. And it's going to start with paying this restitution.
Yes, sir.
It's going to, right behind that, it's going to be reporting to your officer like you're supposed to. And then right behind that, it's going to be quit getting arrested for stuff.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir. I do have a $1,900 tax check out there. My grandmother, I've talked to her. I do have that, and also a $2,400 stimulus check. And I'd planned, if I could get it cashed into her bank, she was going to take it up there and just pay it off because, like you said, in 2 months it was supposed to have been up. And then I was supposed to went to unsupervised, but where I caught those alleged new charges, then. But on that one, I was in a vehicle on a property.
No, we're not talking about it. We're not talking about it. All right. They're not alleged new charges. They're new charges. Okay.
Okay.
That you're going to have to answer to somehow.
Okay.
But this is what I would be willing to do in lieu of revocation. I would be willing to do the following two things. I would be willing to give you a sanction of 30 days, which I think you've probably been in there almost 30 days. I don't know if it's going to be really close. The second thing is to extend your pretrial diversion for a period of 12 months from the original end date or until restitution is paid if it takes longer. Number three, I want you to get on this restitution, and if you can pay it, if you can pay it, then and you go a certain amount of time without having any issues, then there could be a way to get that unsupervised. That's up to probation and parole to keep up with. And beyond that, I want you to report as directed, when directed, live where you're supposed to, and do a better job of following these rules. If we have to come back in here in that year, it won't turn out the same way. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Because, you've had a couple of chances here, but I mean, I think you've done pretty good except for little hitches here and there. But I mean, the COVID stuff was weird on everybody. So, I think you've done pretty decent until all of that. And I want to try to see if you can do decent if I give you one more chance.
Yes, sir.
But I mean, you're going to have to do better than you've been doing.
Yes, Your Honor.
Seth, when do you want to see him? 30 days. Looks like the warrant was served 3/31. So that's
just whenever he's released, Judge, he needs to report to probation and parole. If he's released after hours, it needs to be first thing.
he should get out Thursday morning. So he needs to report to probation and parole Thursday, no later than about 10 o'clock.
That would be fine, Judge.
Your Honor, that in that one case, he said that it would be up to you whether we 10% that bond. I had a $2,500 bond on that.
Well, I will ask, I guess I'll see if you all just email Amy and tell her that that he got a 30-day sanction and she can pass that along to Judge Pendleton. It'll be up to Judge Pendleton what happens to your bond, but I think what he's saying is if I release you, then he would be willing to change your bond.
Okay.
All right. So you report to Officer Bennett. If you get that restitution paid, that's going to be a big weight off of everybody's shoulders, including yours. And but I'm extending your diversion. I think it was supposed to be up in June, so it's going to be extended for 12 months past that.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So
you also apparently have court. I don't know. Do you have it? Is he supposed to Zoom it or is supposed? Do you know? He might ought to call the clerk's office when he gets out. Yeah, you better call the clerk's office when you get out because you've got court. You've got district court next week.
Okay.
And I don't know if they're gonna want you to come in and meet in person or what.
Okay.
All right?
All right. Thank
All
you.
right.
You have a good day.
All right. Next.
Lisa, did you have cases?
I thought you were gonna call yours.
Okay. Judge, I got 3 real quick ones that have deals in them. Christopher Dunlap. Mr. Brown's on for that one. Judge, we've got a deal. He's going to stipulate that he's violated the terms of his diversion, but a resolution would be that that the diversion is amended to where he would enter in complete drug court as an additional requirement. I've already talked to Ms. Reed, and she sent me an email saying he's eligible, and that his time that he's been in would count as a sanction.
All right. Is that what you're agreeing to do, Mr. Dunlap?
Yes, sir.
Did Candy, is she the one that said she wanted him to call her tomorrow? You have to call Candy tomorrow at 10 o'clock.
10 a.m.
Yes, sir. Do you know what her number is?
No, but I'm pretty sure I can get it. But if you can have her write it down for me, I'm sure Miss Bonnie would be glad to give it to me.
Bonnie, do you know it?
I do, Judge.
All right. Bonnie's heard it enough.
That's it. I figured.
Yeah. All right. So listen, you're going to be released. You need to be sure to give her a call and report as she tells you to do. Do exactly what they tell you, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you have any questions?
No, I just want to thank you for the opportunity.
All right. Well, take advantage of it, okay?
Will do.
All right. We'll see you.
All right.
Good luck.
Judge, I also had Charles Harper.
Mr. Harper.
Judge, with Mr. Harper, we had him assessed, and he actually has a bed date available on May the 3rd. He's agreed to stipulate that he violated the terms of his probation, and his time, he would stay in until that date, until he's able to go, and his time would count as a sanction.
Okay. So am I going to get, I don't guess I've already got, am I going to get something, am I supposed to do an order that he goes to treatment, or has that been arranged some other way?
Seth, you got any details on that?
I mean, am I just letting him out, or am I doing an order that he goes straight from custody to treatment? I guess
I'd like for him to go straight from custody to treatment.
Yeah, he has to be there, Judge, by 1 o'clock on Monday, and he also has to bring a 30-day supply of his blood pressure medication. So I can try to arrange transportation for him and get that information to Chrissy.
Yeah, please do that as quick as you can so that we can get that order in, okay?
I'll do it. Yes, sir.
All right. All right, Mr. Harper, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Judge, finally, you got Paul Gass. Judge, on Mr. Gass, the deal that I had proposed to Mr. Berry was that he would serve a 60-day sanction. But I'd also, part of the problem was he was assessed by the SSC originally, and he was given long-term treatment, and he didn't go. So part of this deal would be that, they would look to see if they can get him back into long-term treatment. If they can get him back and he can get a bed date within the 60 days, I wouldn't mind that sanction time be cut short for him to go. And if they can't, due to reasons because of a pending case or whatever the reasons may be, he would just have to serve out the 60-day sanction. I'm trying to find a way to do something other than revoke him. This is a constant issue. So I'm trying to fix something here.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I understand where you're going with that. Who is Officer Bragg? Is this yours? Who's his?
Officer Bragg.
So are you all the ones that are going to try to find him, get him back in, or is
Judge, we can do that if you want Ms. Steenbergen to try to arrange that.
I'm open to either one of you, just as long as it
He
gets
was gonna
done.
try and get him a bed. He's working on it. He couldn't trudge, so there's only certain facilities he can go to. And with a pending felony, there's only certain facilities he can go to. So he was trying to have to figure out which ones could take him, but he was going to try and find him one. And if he can't, I can let Greg know and we can work if they want to try and give him a bed either way.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be
That's
fine.
fine
Just,
with me, yeah.
y'all just loop me into it if you find him a place so that we can go ahead and let him do it.
Yeah, I'll take care of it.
If that doesn't happen, then I guess he's still going to be going. He's still going to be, Mike. If I understand what you're saying, you still want him to go follow through with the recommendation. It just might be at the end of the 60 days rather than during the 60 days.
It could be, yeah. I'm just saying that if they find a place and it's a place he can go to, I don't care if it's cut short, but if not, I mean, I think it's something where he's had enough issues where he needs to do a sanction if he's not going to.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And I guess the only thing is it could run into, us having to bring that new case in here and resolve it.
Yeah.
But that's
And-
a different question.
and
That's a
if this-
different.
Yeah, Mr. Barry, if they want to get with me, if that's an issue, I mean, we'll try to do something.
Okay.
All right. I think I got you. Mr. Gass, good luck.
Thank you, sir.
That's all I got, Judge.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Gardner?
Judge,
Ms. Gardner. All right.
did John, did you need to call something? No, okay. Cora Neal, Greg and I have talked about her,
Okay.
about a proposed resolution. She's a new pending case and going to treatment in lieu of revocation in this case. I think he needs some time to speak with her about it.
All right.
When did you want to put this on, Greg?
I guess just the next revocation day. Is that 2 weeks?
But you'll be gone, I think, right?
Oh, the judge will. Okay.
No, you will, I think.
You guys.
Oh, is that the 9th? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, or the 10th, whatever. Well, I guess we could do it on a Monday.
Okay. And can Bethany assess her?
Yes, I'll ask Bethany to do an assessment for long-term treatment. And we wanted to try to okay, never mind. Yeah, I'll talk with Bethany about you were expecting some type of long-term inpatient type treatment.
I mean, not inpatient treatment.
Okay.
May I ask a question, please?
Yes.
Since I have been incarcerated, some things have went on with my children, and I was going to see maybe if my probation would be like a little stricter and I could go home on house arrest until I get a bed. Because like my daughter, she's 21, she has like a 7-month-old baby, and she's been trying to help my other children. Since then, their dad has been incarcerated. We haven't been together in years, but he's here now. And I mean, I'll do what I have to do until I can get inpatient, but I just need some time to get like my house and everything straightened out because everything's a mess right now.
That's not going to be an option as far as the Commonwealth's concerned, Judge.
Yeah, I'm not sure that, I mean, listen, I understand where you're coming from, but I don't know that I can, I don't know that I can help you fix all those other problems. I mean, we got to fix this problem.
Yes, sir, I understand. So I couldn't even go home like house arrest or anything until I get a bed date?
Well, I don't know even when you might get a bed date. So that would not be something that I would be willing to just to do without, I mean, we're going to come back on Monday and maybe we'll know more then. And that, maybe there's something that we can discuss then. I don't know, but I at least want to know that you had a bed date and when it was before I think about that.
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm not making any promises to you because that's not something that we normally would do. I mean, usually if you are going to go to treatment, you stay in custody till you go.
Yes, sir, I understand.
Okay.
Okay.
Put it back on for Monday.
Is that gonna be, you said long-term or short-term, just some kind of treatment?
It'll just be some sort of residential treatment, the way I understand it.
Okay, thank you, sir.
One.
We were also going to try to resolve her new felony case as part
Yeah, I
of.
figured that was part of it to get that kind of rocket docket, that other case.
Okay, I see. All right. Never mind. I wrote it
I'll
down.
send you that paperwork, Greg.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
And then Ken and I have Jason Harper. He's just getting into the case.
That's right, Your Honor.
All right, what do you want to do, Ken?
Judge, you can give me 1 week on this. I think there's been some possible resolutions discussed. If we can have just 1 week, that would be great.
She got it. Harper. Yeah. Well, 2 weeks is what it would be.
Or even if you want to set this on a Monday. I don't know if you'd like to do that or not.
I don't have a problem with that if you think we're going to get a resolution.
I don't have a problem with it either, but I can't put it on this upcoming Monday because I have just maxed it out.
That's fine.
But I could put it on the next Monday.
That'll be fine, Judge. That would be fine.
We'll do 5, 10, 1 o'clock. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Jason, I'll be up at the jail to talk to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
I have Heather Slater.
Bless you. There's a lot going on there. Ms. Slater.
Yes, sir.
And Judge, I've been talking with Officer Alexander briefly. At first, I wanted a hearing. I talked with Ms. Myers. She proposed something. I might have a proposal. I don't know if she'd rather me call or just say on the record what my proposal would be.
You might just say it on the record.
Okay.
That's fine.
My understanding is that she does not owe restitution. Judge, if you remember, Tristan Felty was her co-defendant. I believe that he paid that off. So her period of probation was 3 years or until restitution is paid in full. Looking at the violation report, she is finished on June the 4th. She's had 2 previous absconding situations, one where she received an 11-day sanction. The last sanction she received was approximately 37 days. So my proposed resolution for this would be a sanction until June the 4th when her probation period ends.
Heather, did you get all that?
Yes.
Is that something you're interested in doing?
I'm staying in
Or do you
here.
want me to come down and talk to you first?
I mean, it doesn't matter either. I mean, I don't want to go home, of course, but June 4th, I'll be done. I'll be on paper.
Yeah, then your probation would be over.
Okay, that's fine.
All right. Well, if that's an agreement, that I will approve it.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's Ms. Slater, you're okay with that?
Yes.
And you don't want to ask any questions, or if you do, you can ask me, or you
No,
can
I'm fine.
talk to your lawyer privately.
And I don't have any objection to it being past a week if Ms. Myers wants to talk to her further. Because I'm just now saying my proposal.
Yeah, we'll just see what Ms. Slater wants to do.
That's fine. So I'll just stay here until I'm off probation then?
Yeah, if that's what you're agreeing to, that's what the proposal is. So if that's what you're agreeing to, we'll do it.
Of course I want to go home, but yeah, I'll stay here. I'd rather be on paper.
All right. So in new application, sanction until June 4th, when probation ends. All right, Ms. Slater, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I think we got 3 left because we added Mr. Wyatt. That was the one where we were going to try to see. He has a bed date back in treatment if the Commonwealth was going to be okay with him going.
Is that Dylan White?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think that's Mike's case, and he's left at this point, but.
Listen, I may have misspoke. I may heck, I can't say anything at all right now. I may be misspeaking, but my recollection is that Mike said yesterday that if he had a bed date, as long as he had confirmation of that, he thought he would agree to it, but he would like to see the letter. And so Crystal got the letter and went out and they emailed it to him. And the letter said, in fact, they called from the rehab place this morning and wanted to make sure we got the letter and wanted to confirm that Dylan had a bed date back there with them on whatever it was, May the 11th or whatever day it was. So, you know.
Yeah, because I mean, my recollection from yesterday as well is he was going back to the place he was before, and yeah, we're okay with that.
Yeah, and he had completed that joint once before, so I mean, you know,
Right.
it's obviously been fairly beneficial to him.
Can I say something, Your Honor?
Yes.
It's nothing. Would I have to do the whole 6 months there? Since, I mean, I understand that I've messed up stuff, but I have paid my restitution, sir. I've paid it completely off, and it is a 6-month program. Like I said, I just lost my job. I would like to, if any way, try to get that back, sir, before I'm down for 6 months again. Because
Well, let me tell you, the letter from them says if he comes back, he will have a 90-day residential treatment followed by 90 days outpatient in our sober living facility. So, I mean, that's the terms of what they're willing to take you back on.
That's fine, sir. Would there be any possible way that, since I'm for sure going and I for sure have a bed date there, that I could maybe, see, I live 10 minutes from that facility is where my home is. And I just had my fiance taking care of it. I mean, is there any way that I could get my affairs in order, sir, at all before I go?
What kind of affairs are you talking about?
Like my rent, I have vehicle payments, I have light bills and stuff and if I'm going to be gone for 6 months, I would like to help her out to be able to pay that so I don't lose my home that I've finally got.
Well, let me check with those people again and see. I may be willing to let you go a little bit early so that you can try to get some of these things. Now, you know, since I know when you're going and where you're going.
Like I say, Officer Bennett, he's my PO and stuff, so he knows my home. That's my home address, my cell phone number, all that's still active. And I mean, there would be no reason for me to do anything and mess that up.
You don't have a probation officer over there in Morgantown or wherever this is?
No, sir, I never got it. No, I tried to get in touch with that. I tried to get in touch with him when I very first got put on probation, and he never got back with me. So I've just been reporting to Mr. Bennett, and that's just how we've been doing it because we couldn't figure it out.
All right, Seth, are you still here? Is that going to work? He's falling asleep.
Is he on here? He may not be on here. What's his name? I'll look into it.
It's Mr. Roy Dylan Wyatt.
Okay, he wasn't.
Seth is he's still on the thing, but I mean, he might have left and just
Maybe
forgot
it's not over there.
log out. He looked like his computer was underwater again, so maybe it just shorted out. Look here, Mr. White, let me tell you, I'll talk to Officer Bennett about it. I mean, I think we can make this work. I don't want you to be going over there and you're supposed to be reporting to somebody and you're not, and you think you're doing the right thing and everybody gets mad at you. So I'm not worried about you doing anything wrong. I'm trying to make sure that everybody knows where you are and that, you know, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
That's fine.
I did figure it out real fast. They denied it simply because he was in jail pending revocation. So they said if he's not revoked, they'll accept his transfer to Morgantown. So
all right. So what should I have him do? I mean, because I can let him go in time to go meet with somebody before he starts his rehab, since we have his date.
And I will do that anytime.
I don't know if they're in the office. If he calls Seth tomorrow, Seth is working here. He can resubmit the transfer, and the other officer will be able to give him reporting instructions at that time, since they're already closed over there.
Yeah. Tell you what I'll do. Mr. White, I'm going to talk to Seth tomorrow, and I'll have him tell you what to do, and then he'll report back to me, and I'll do an order to let you out.
All right, sir.
And I want to find out what they want you to do first. I'm just trying to make sure everything goes the way it's supposed to.
That's fine, sir. So do I just wait for someone to contact me here at the jail, or?
Yeah, just sit tight, and I'll talk to Seth tomorrow.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right. Good. Some of it. How the hell am I? All right. Linda Choke. Oh, I don't know if that's the one y'all wanted to call or not.
No, that's fine, Judge. We've got an agreement in this, I think. Josh has reached out to me about possible putting her in drug court, and said I'm open to that idea. First, we need to get her assessed by Candy, so we can put her on the docket at some point so she could be assessed by Candy to see if she would qualify for drug court.
Well, so let me ask you this then. If I do get her assessed, and if Candy says yes, then are you okay if I just go ahead and let her go and start?
I was wanting to see the assessment first just to make sure, but yeah, I trust Candy, but if she thinks she's okay, then I'm okay with it too.
Well, and the reason I'm asking is because I was thinking I may not be able to get her to get that done by Monday. So I was going to put her on for the following Monday, but then if Candy could get it done anytime before the 10th, then I could go ahead and let her start, and she wouldn't have to wait any longer than she has to.
I'm fine with that.
And then it wouldn't matter that there wasn't anybody from the DPA here, because if she's already out, then it won't matter. Okay.
Okay.
All right, Ms. Choate. So I'm going to contact they're going to contact the drug court coordinator and get her down there to meet with you. Okay.
All right, thank you, sir.
And we'll have her do it as quick as she can. But I don't know her schedule, so it might end up being next week. Might be this week, might be next week. Okay.
All right, thank you, sir.
All right. Yeah. Yeah.
Your Honor.
But you're going to want to write that. Correct. But we will need to do an order. Say all that too. Yes.
I'm Cora Neal. I was also going to see if maybe drug court would be an option for me, because I feel like that would help me better. And I could be home with my family, because I have a lot going on with my family right now. Would that be an option?
I don't know what they've talked about. I'm waiting for your attorney and the Commonwealth will, when I see you on Monday, they're going to tell me.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Let's see. We got Mr. Johnson.
Good evening, sir.
Judge, I think we've got an agreement in this matter as well. Mr. Johnson has a new F case. He's charged with trafficking in that case and reading the citation. I think it might be more along the lines of a possession case. I need to speak with the officer about that. Also, I've asked Greg if Bethany could assess him and get some proposed treatment options, and then we might be able to resolve both of these cases at the same time.
Okay. Greg, Judge. Okay. As it currently stands, he's got a pretrial conference off on June the 14th. I'm assuming you all would like me to put this sooner than that.
Yes, Judge.
Yeah. Mr. Barry, how long do you think, I mean, seems like, I'm thinking out loud here, but it seems like May 3rd might be too fast and May 10th won't be an option. So 17th?
That sounds like it'd probably be as quick as we could get everything done on it, Judge, and get everything all wrapped up.
So Jen, let's take his pretrial off of 6/14 and move it to 5/17. Move to 5/17 at 1 o'clock. All right, you all let me know if you need anything from me.
Sir, is there any way I can get out today or get on maybe U-turn until then?
I don't think that was part of the deal because because of there's a revocation, a bond revocation on the table.
Okay.
That wasn't part of the deal, was it?
No, it was not.
Yeah. All right. Let's sit tight and hold on and we may be able to get all this wrapped up for you. All right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. We never got, Bonnie, is that it for you guys?
No, Judge, I have a Linda Choate. Here it is.
Oh yeah, we did hers.
Oh, did it? Oh, I can just like things. Okay.
Yeah, you were chatting. All right. See ya. Thank you.
Thanks, Judge.
We never did get Mr. Hodges is in Adair County and they never did decide to join us.
Judge,